Welcome to the Damaged Goods Podcast. We are your hosts, Jess Robert, that's me, and Italian stallion recording artist Ill Vibe. Ill Vibe's new album, Anti-Gravity, is out now, and you can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, and wherever else music is found. A big thanks, as always, to lyricvids.com, the web's #1 lyric video animation company.
Pop, pop.
Today is a special day. Do you know what day it is, babe?
I was trying to come up with a good joke, and I don't have one.
It's cool.
It's our 10th anniversary.
Our 10th anniversary of Damaged Goods.
Yeah, not about me and you.
No.
I mean, sort of
I was
me
like,
and you, but
what?
No, we haven't been together.
Why are
even
you
close to
hanging
10
out with
years.
me on your 10th anniversary?
We won't last that long. Yes, this is our 10th episode, which is super exciting. And for our 10th episode, we brought on a great friend. She's awesome. She's beautiful, and she could probably drink more than you.
Fucking right.
The
Exactly, yes.
Maya Phelan. Yay.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So if you guys remember a few episodes ago, it would have been 2 or 3 episodes ago, we had on Tynan Phelan, who is Maya's SO, her hubby.
It's one of these. Yep.
Yeah.
It happened. Just a couple kids in love.
All good?
Yep, just want to go to see it.
If you'd like to put a face to a voice or a voice to a face or whatever, you can check her out on Instagram while you listen at Maya Phelan, MayaPhelan. Is this the first podcast you've ever been on?
Yes. This is the millionth that I have experienced because I listen to podcasts all day at work.
Nice. What's your favorite?
I think we talked about this on Facebook. I think my favorite is Sword and Scale. I'm all about the true crime.
Oh, that's
I'm all about the true crime. And we were saying how you were like, oh, that's one of the ones that literally makes you shit yourself with fear. And I'm like, yep, that's what I'm into. I'm a fucking weirdo.
See, personally, too, I listen to them more. I guess it's not true because I listen to them a lot during the day when I'm working, but then we also listen to them before bed and stuff. And I even listen to ones that aren't even that scary. They're just kind of a sinister vibe. Like maybe there's a murder somewhere in it or something, but it's overall happy. And I'll still won't be able to sleep and I'll be dreaming about it.
No, before we had that conversation on Facebook, I was thinking about it. I'm there hasn't really been an episode of Sword and Scale, and I listen to them every single day at work while I'm doing my thing. There's been a ton that are disturbing, but to me, I'm so desensitized to fucked up shit, like murders, etc.
Yeah.
But then I listened to one the day that we spoke about that, and that one really fucked me up because it was horrifying. And
Can you tell me what it was?
I will. Okay, I'll give you a brief synopsis, and I'm telling you, girl, don't listen to it.
No, I won't.
Because
I'll probably have nightmares from you telling me.
I was up all night, and I was lying beside Tynan, and he fell asleep. It was 11, and I was like, babe, babe, can you just talk to me for 5 minutes? I'm scared.
Aww.
So basically, he's like, no, fuck off. Basically, it's long story short, it's this young guy. He's a high schooler, 17 years old. Some small town in middle America, and he lives with his mother, and it's a little bit of a Norman Bates scenario. A little bit of there wasn't sexual abuse happening. This is a weird way to start this off. Sorry,
I don't know.
I
love it.
I'm sorry,
I love it.
I'm weird. There wasn't a sexual abuse scenario happening, but he was one of the kids. He's a deeply disturbed kid, and he had they found all this shit in his computer afterwards, rape fantasy, blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm really sorry to start the podcast.
No.
I step away from the microphone
I wanted to know.
for 1 minute.
Long story
Rape
short.
The camera's finally rolling. We weren't rolling right out the gate, but I fixed that. But
Okay.
but people are just listening. No idea. There's no visual. They're going, what's going on? There's usually a visual.
telling
And
a
this
fucked up story.
discussion of rape fantasies, and
Yes.
I leave the ladies alone for 1 second.
So basically, he was this really disturbed kid. He one day comes home. He'd been fantasizing for months, possibly years, about killing and eating his mother and sister. That was his thing.
Oh my gosh.
And also weird sex stuff. So he'd been having these fantasies obviously for a long time. And one day he comes home from school, normal day like any other, and he had asked her for permission to kill himself, and she thought he was joking or something, and he was like, no, I want to die. And she's like, no, I love you, don't kill yourself. That was the end of their conversation. And then that night he bludgeons her over the head while she's watching TV.
And then should have told him to kill himself.
I know, right? And then he proceeds to cut her up eats her brains, has sex with their dead corpse. You know, the whole
so that
whole
would mess
kit
me
and
up for
caboodle.
sure.
I missed the context.
We were just
This is a book, a movie.
So, no,
this
yeah,
is
you
your
missed the
first date with
This is our
Tynan.
first date with Tynan. He tells me this fucked up story about his childhood.
No, I asked if she likes podcasts, what podcast she listens to.
That's right.
I'm so sorry.
Murder podcast.
Yes, and I said that I can't watch those because I get really disturbed.
I tried My Favorite Murder because it's so popular. It's always in the top 10. I tried it, but for that reason, it's just hard to hear like, and then he ate the brains like while you're on an airplane.
After that, I'm going to take a little break because like I don't really like hearing about the rape stuff. Blah, blah, but you know.
What, like, how do they, is it like courtroom type thing? Or
No,
like,
it's
how do
just
they
this
tell
one
you about
guy,
it?
and he's actually a really controversial podcast host because a lot of people take issue with the way that he presents like mental illness on his show. It's just this one
Right.
guy sponsored by like Blue Apron, like the
Of course.
literally, and in between like telling about these gruesome rapes and murders,
And then he ate his mother's brains.
and you know what
Blue
you should
Apron.
eat tonight? Like Korean kimchi bibimbap. Here's the recipe on blueapron.com.
Kimchi brains. I wonder how we can get some of that Blue Apron money. If they're even sponsoring like brain eating podcasts.
Yeah.
I think we are the only podcast not brought to you by Blue Apron.
Yeah.
Who's Blue Apron's? Okay, here's the question. Who's Blue Apron's competitor and how can we get some of their money?
What is the Blue Apron's competitor? It's a
Oh,
crap.
the box, the fresh box.
Yeah,
And they give you all the
something like that.
ingredients all cut out.
There is a direct competitor of Blue Apron that's also
Whoever
on every podcast.
Blue Apron's Red Apron or whatever they're called, we want their money.
Yeah.
Or I'll also accept their product.
They're
just 'cause
waiting
I'll
in the
feel
wings
cool.
to sponsor you guys, I swear.
Yeah,
Like,
you probably
just
wouldn't
gotta
like
find them.
anything.
I've never met anybody who actually waited in the wings.
Waited carefully in the wings.
Like just waiting in the wings. No, doesn't work that way.
Kind of a creepy place to wait.
That is a creepy place to wait. But for reals, that's totally the way you got to approach sponsorship is get that Blue Apron competitor money. Because Blue
would you
Apron be just
prepared
dumping
in
it
the middle of your
podcasting.
podcast, be like, just so you know, we are currently sponsored by Blue Apron.
Not in the
then you
middle.
can tell a story
in the
about
beginning,
it.
Jess is already an ace of being like, it's brought to you by
Oh, but if they
lyricbits.com.
said you had to put it in the middle, we'll fucking put it in the middle. We'll sell out.
I don't know about that.
Get that Blue Apron money.
Tiger Belly does it all the time.
I know, and I hate it.
Oh, you hate it?
I prefer it the way that Joe Rogan and some other podcasters do it, where it's at the beginning because it's right there, no hiding who it's presented by.
Yeah.
It's just weird to be like in the middle of the flow. You're talking about rape fantasies. You're enjoying
It was very
yourself,
weird.
and then you're like, by the way, if you don't have time to
He'll
make a
literally be like,
kimchi,
this story made me so hungry, so I went downstairs.
Does he
but I wanted to
actually
make
do
myself
that?
a snack? Yeah, he plays it like that. It's super strange.
That's really
He's a weird
weird.
guy. He's a weird guy.
love it.
So, like us this the year, or I guess it would have been last year, Maya and Tynan got married.
That's right.
They took the
Did you guys
old
talk
plunge.
about who Tynan is?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I already said that.
Yeah, from
You've been distracted.
No, I was working on the camera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I said
He's nobody. Doesn't matter.
yeah. So obviously, a previous guest, you guys got married. Now we're getting married.
Yay! So excited.
fun
Amazing.
times.
How long you been married for now?
Coming up to a year. We got married in August 26th of last year.
So you're at like almost a year.
Almost a year. Yeah. I mean,
Is it all it's cracked up to be?
it kind of is. Like, I kind of love it. It's just like you get to. It always sounds so cheesy to say it, but it's just fucking true. I get to spend most of my time with like my favorite person in the world, and I mean, it's only been a year in, so nothing really bad's happened.
Would you say that you get to like relax and just like focus on other aspects of life other than like finding a partner? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was never one to be like, oh, I gotta get a boyfriend like now. I didn't really give a shit. In fact, I was like really sick of men by the time I was 19 because like they're annoying. But
Yeah. Sorry about that, y'all.
present company excluded.
I watched 13 Reasons Why this week,
my
so
God,
I'm
I
feeling
was
a lot of male guilt right now. I'm just gonna sit quietly.
You're amazing.
You guys
You're
talk amongst
amazing.
yourselves.
I didn't know that movie was specifically towards men.
It's not
the
towards
guilt.
men.
Isn't there a lot of, like,
I
shitty
wouldn't
girls
say
in
it
too?
paints us in a very good light.
Well, I'm actually watching that right now, and
How far in are you?
I'm on season 2, and I was so embarrassed.
Oh, there's
to be
still
like,
more. I thought it was done.
Season
Are they-
2. Do you know?
Are they
what,
gonna keep?
Do you know what the slogan is for season 2?
Oh no, still
Does
dead.
it get better?
It's the tapes were just the start.
Oh my god!
Oh no.
Because season 1 was all about the tapes, right?
And I was
so
like, what's gonna happen after the?
all I'll say about when I just say is I was on an airplane coming back from Europe, which we could talk about later. And the girl next to me, it's like 15-year-old girls binge watching 13 Reasons Why. And at first I'm like, fuck this chick. But then by like 40 minutes in, I'm like watching over her shoulder, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Did she cry at all ever?
No, but she was. You know what she did that was really interesting to me?
What?
every time that it got sexy, she would pick the phone up and put it really close to her face so that the people on the plane couldn't
awkward.
see that it was getting sexy on her.
bitch,
on
we
her
know what
screen.
you're doing.
I kind of get that. I've
But
definitely
what I
done the
noticed
same
is
thing before.
she had a hair trigger. Like I would do that too if it was going to be nudity.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do that just for like intense kissing. So
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, she was a girl from the airplane. I don't know what her background was, but she looked like she might have had a background of like maybe a more religious culture, and so she was like very like aware of whenever it was getting heated on
She
her
was
screen.
into it though. She was
And
fucking feeling that
she
shit.
was enjoying
Okay.
it. But anyways, by the end of the plane, I watched like 8 episodes. And it's like, there's like a baseball team that like rapes girls, and
Oh my
there's
god,
like,
I know. I couldn't even watch that like gratuitous
it's-
rape scene.
it's really dark, and it's like toxic masculinity is like the theme of the show.
Yeah.
In every way that could possibly present itself, violence and rape and.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so I landed back in Canada, and I just like, man, guys do kind of suck. Like, if that's even partially a reality that anybody has, and this show's very intense. Don't get me wrong. I think few people have had a reality as intense as what this show paints.
Totally.
But it's based on real events. These aren't things that don't happen to people. And it was very, very intense. So I'm gonna be quiet now.
Sorry for all the technical difficulties right in the beginning, but I'm good, right? Audio wise, right?
Yeah, everything sounds great.
Okay, cool. I can't hear me for some reason.
Yeah,
but I
you
think
never
I'm
seem
just-
to be able to hear you, but don't
I'm
sweat
just
that.
used to me.
Yeah.
I think I'm used to the sound of my own voice.
No, so
lovely voice.
for anybody
Lovely
watching, you did miss the first like 5 minutes of video, but that's okay.
What? How?
It's completely naked that first 5 minutes. That sucks for the viewer.
Yeah, I know. Card was full.
Oh,
It
okay.
happens.
Yeah, I didn't even check.
Welcome
that.
to the real world. It happens.
You guys gave
Thanks,
each other a
babe.
look like you
You got
used the
my-
rest of the memory to make a sex tape or something.
Listen, if
Card
this,
was full. Wink.
I'm a generous.
You know, babe, remember last Tuesday?
I'm a generous
Wasn't
lover.
the only thing that was full, if you know what I'm saying.
Wow. Listen, I like you
Yes.
giving me credit. I was trying to do a self-deprecating joke, but you know what? Just say good things about me. What I was going to say is I'm a generous lover, but I certainly wouldn't be filling up the card if you know what I'm saying.
So you said the
I think we're all-
opposite of my
Yeah.
joke.
Picking up what you're putting down.
That's funny.
lady.
So I was going to talk to Maya about this before we started because it's kind of a nice thing to discuss in advance. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's save it for the podcast and discuss it on the podcast. So it's kind of an interesting topic in itself. And that is like, would you say that there's like any things that like you wouldn't want to discuss like on a podcast, or that you're pretty open? Do you think you're like a pretty private person, or?
Short answer, no. I think I'm open to everything, like especially podcast wise. Podcast is such an
Swipes to his dirty question.
Dirty question. You know, this is like it's an interesting art form, the podcast, and I believe wholeheartedly in it. I'm a lover of the podcast art form, so I wouldn't hold back. No,
And also I
ask
find
me
that
anything
the
except
best
my boob size because it's embarrassing.
the best podcasts I find are the ones that feel very like open book and like natural.
Yeah,
That being said, we don't have to force that and like intentionally ask gross questions.
That being
Oh,
said,
I'll get gross without being prompted. I'm sure.
that being said, small boobs are in.
I know. I take it. I know it. Small boobs are in. Hell
It's,
yeah.
if
no
it was
doubt.
19,
Small boobs, big butt,
if it was
right?
1994, it'd be very different. That was like the decade of
Pam
the
Anderson
fake, yeah, like Pam Anderson, Carmen
I'm glad I don't have
Electra.
big tits like
I
that.
remember
Oh my
being a
God.
kid being like, big boobs are everything.
Yeah.
That is
When
like,
you're waiting for that scroll down, man, like I can imagine.
Yeah, when
You
the
want
image is
instant
buffering.
gratification.
Okay, wait, isn't that like 70s? How old are you?
the internet didn't even exist in the 70s. No, in 1994, if you were
For some
watching
reason, I
porn,
was picturing like those lotto machines that you play, or those arcade machines you play at like the bars. Do you remember those with the cards?
Yeah.
And like whenever you get like a hand right or whatever, or hand right, I obviously don't know how to fucking play cards.
Jess is a big gambler, as you can tell.
I can see that. Yeah, that's obvious. From
But you know what I mean? It shows like a little more and a little more.
But yeah, so back in the day, I used to load up porn images,
Right.
Because video would have been too much to load on that internet.
So you just like looked at pictures.
the dial-up going?
Are you joking? People used to go to the store and buy magazines. So yeah, I looked at least I could
I
just
think that's
scroll through
romantic.
them.
Even buying Hustler, like I wish I was born in age when I could go and like
That's
buy a Hustler
romantic.
And, like you know,
I
guess I could still.
Could you
but-
masturbate to a photo like now? Do you think?
I could.
Yeah, but they would have to be.
I
Like a really
haven't
good
in a
photo.
very long
Wait,
time.
why
but I
not?
imagine
Why
I
can't you
could.
masturbate to photos? Because it's not like
Well,
exciting enough.
when you jerk off in the shower, there is no photo. So, and I do that once in a blue moon. So,
No, but I'd almost
could-
rather imagination than like a still image. I
Well,
don't
if
know
the
why, you know.
if the
You're
girl's
a
hot,
woman,
if the
I
girl's
know.
hot enough. Oh, you know what? That's not true. On tour, I did look at one of those like Instagram accounts for like hot asses or whatever because I was on tour.
Yeah.
and I had to kind of listen. I was on the road for 3 months.
I hear you.
So I had to do something, and so
But you
that
could've
was an
just
option.
Watch video, like video.
Big
without the
asses
sound
No,
on.
'cause I can't remember where I was, but it was a situation where I had to kind of be quick about it, and so I thought, well, that's an option. I happen to know where sexy girls are like 2 clicks away on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I went to like
Jess Robert.
exactly.
Thanks.
Wow. Listen.
Where they're at. That's
If I was
only.
if I was that smooth, this podcast would have double the listeners. 'Cause people would just be like, listen to him go.
I'll just feed him to you, and you just say it into the mic.
I'm gonna put a little earpiece in, and you can be on the other room feeding me lines. I like that.
I wonder if there's ever going to be a point where like we have a guest on and we say like a topic like this and they're like become like closed off and like all like
I don't think
clammed
that they
up.
would come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine, but I imagine they wouldn't like.
Well,
come on.
I can think of
We're
some
ready.
guests that we have maybe lined up who we don't know that well, but they're just like semi-celebrities
Yep.
that we could have on, and we don't know them, so it's possible we could say something
True.
and they'd be like, ugh.
Jess is working on.
clutch my
We won't say any names until it gets more firm. But Jess is working on the most interesting. It's like celebrity guest bookings.
Yeah, they're.
I gotta know. Tell me.
We'll talk about it. I hate when people say this, but this is what we'll talk about it off air until it's more of a real
obviously,
thing.
when it's locked in.
As soon as it's a real thing, we'll talk about it. But it's just been really fun for Jess to be like, "Would you want this person on?" And it's like, "Yeah, that'd be." I've never.
Are we talking Dennis Rodman? Because I'm getting a Dennis Rodman vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
We are talking about.
Wow, you're good.
Jeez. So
I can see it in your eyes, babe.
listen, you do look like a psychic from a really inexpensive county fair. But now it's interesting that you actually are kind of psychic.
I am a psychic from a really low budget county fair.
You also seem like maybe. And did we talk about this earlier? For some reason, it came up that maybe you were a witch at one point in like high school.
I would be
Yes,
like a cool, like
you're
Mexican
ruining my
witch.
podcast
A bruja.
topic.
Oh, okay. Go to it. You then bring us there because I remember us talking about it. I just kind of accidentally went there, so I'll shut up.
No, it's good. Yeah, I should
I
have
didn't mean to mansplain your whole topic.
I should have
You
let
should
it happen
watch 13
naturally.
Reasons Why. Shit like this, man. 13 Reasons Why.
Pretty much, I am the equivalent of Kyle or whatever that fucking
Bryce,
guy's name.
don't
Bryce.
say that. You're
I
amazing,
pretty much
you.
am Bryce. Okay.
Oh my god, no, he's a serial
You're such a
rapist.
Bryce.
Classic Bryce. Man.
Classic. Yeah. Anthony's serial raping again. Classic. Classic Bryce.
Brutal.
Okay, sorry.
yes,
I didn't ask
so
that, by the way.
well, no, I might as well
strike
start.
that from the
I have a
record.
very- it's
I
not
didn't
good up
ask
here,
that.
so
I might as well jump into that.
Jess, you know what?
topic
Bring
now,
up any
because no
subject
pun
that you'd like. Just go off the cuff.
Oh, she's allowed now. Okay, great. Awesome.
Speaking of like goths and witches,
Oh, I said it way smoother.
I know you did. I knew you'd say that too. Did you ever have like a dark kind of phase at all, like in your preteens or in like
Did
high
I?
school? Tell me all about it.
Oh god.
How many warlock hand jobs are we
Can
talking?
this be part of the thing I don't talk about? Oh no, I warlock hand jobs. All of them, literally all of them. No, I did. I think I went through the mine wasn't very, cooler or more intense than any other average 13-year-old girl.
Oh, of course.
But I had kind of a weird upbringing. My mom's a Canadian diplomat, so we were moved around a lot as a
Cool.
kid. I went to 8 different schools. I went to 4 different high schools.
At once?
Yeah, I know. It was crazy. It was so
You're
much
a really
education.
advanced kid.
Yeah, so I was essentially an army brat, but for the Canadian government, so way less cool. And I got moved around a lot, and so every new school, you have to be the new kid, and in high school it was easier because then I had hit puberty, and people were oh, new cute girl, who's she? But in middle school, with braces and a unibrow and no boobs, it was really tough. So I kind of got into this weird really goth phase. And looking back at it now, I'm oh, that's adorable. How cute. Her weird goth phase. But at the time, it seemed very serious. And I was listening to a lot of Billy Talent. And my parents were concerned. But
My little sister went through a goth phase that was really intense. At the time, I was just her big brother, so I remember it being very aware of it, very concerned about it, because she was just somehow her skin got lighter and her hair got darker every year for 3 years, and I was just
mine was
where does
that
this
light.
end?
It was more just trying to look like Avril Lavigne, circa complicated. So I wouldn't say goth. It was whatever that is.
a little more grunge rock than full on I hang out at hang out at cemeteries.
On it, the bracelets and the choker with the spikes.
Wow.
Did you ever wear ties, men's
Oh
ties?
my god, did I? Yeah, I burned all those pictures, so there's no evidence. But I loved that look, the white fear and the tie.
What was your? Because I know you had a thing. I've seen some images.
I think I'd give your sister a run for her money. I think, or maybe we were the same. I don't know. But I was like goth. Like I was like
Are
in
there
it.
pictures that we can see?
Yes, like I'm kid.
Do you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna post one of those
I
pictures
gotta
on our
see them.
Instagram
I
page
gotta see them.
tomorrow.
Okay,
So
I
when
don't
people
know-
listen to this, they can go to our Instagram and look at this picture
You're
of Jess
regretting
and the Goth.
this. You're like,
No,
fuck.
I love making Anthony uncomfortable, and I know this next part's gonna make him really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There was like a white contacts and fangs phase.
No. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
like I was.
I feel like
Think
you
of
look
think of the
hot.
most goth person you know. I was gothier. Like, trust me.
How have I not seen these photos? I thought we were friends.
Is there a picture of you with white contacts and fangs?
White contacts, yes. Fangs, I'm not sure.
Okay,
the white contacts I do have.
I
yeah.
need to see the picture.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, I
for
love
sure.
that. I think you should rock that like look now.
So I grew up with a Christian family, and I'm sure that being like goth and liking Cradle of Filth and stuff was like a direct result of that.
I like Cradle of
Rebellion.
Filth's like softer love songs.
Hey, babe, if you heard
sold
Cradle
out.
of Filth, I feel like you'd be frightened because it's like it's not even just like heavy metal because
Did
there's
you
like
also like a band called like Inches of Blood?
3 inches of blood. Yeah, they're
like the-
not even as scary.
Okay, can we just talk for a moment about the time that Jess said to me? And when I was young, I was a huge fan of 3 Inches of Blood.
Can I tell
And I'm
you
just like,
guys a
what?
really quick 3 inches
3
of
inches
blood
of
Cradle of
blood.
Filth story?
The time that you fucked them all at once.
Yes, I wish.
they were like 3 inches of blood. That's what they say.
Wow.
When they come.
When they come.
So I had a friend who was a tattoo artist. I worked for him for a bit. I was like a receptionist at the tattoo shop, and
Jake.
and he came to Toronto to see 3 Inches of Blood, who he does tattoos for. So they like let him into like the backstage and stuff. So I met up with this guy at the concert, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to come backstage?" And 3 Inches of Blood were opening for Cradle of Filth, which was like my favorite all-time band at the time. And so I went back there. We were like hanging out. I didn't see Cradle of Filth anywhere because they were in their own room or whatever. We were hanging out, and then the guys from 3 Inches of Blood were like, "Do you guys want to come back to the hotel? Some of
What?
you guys can take the."
How old were you? Were you of age?
I was of age. Yeah, at
She
this
was
point.
12, 13.
Okay, then this is okay.
No. So sorry. No, I was a teenager, but they just wanted to like hang
Oh,
out.
I'm sure
Yeah, no,
they just wanted to
I was
hang
like
out.
17 or 18. I think it would have been. Anyways, so
Let's go with 17 because I feel like that keeps the story super spicy.
yeah. Nothing happened.
Okay. You're 17. You're in a hotel with a band called
3 inches
3
of
Inches
blood.
of
Your mother is
You're
like, where the
skipping
hell
ahead
are
of the
you?
story.
Your Christian mother has literally never slept ever since this night.
I hope she's not listening right now. Yeah.
And essentially,
Sorry,
they were
Ryan.
like, "Who wants to take the tour van back to the hotel, and who wants to just walk because it's not very far?" So of course, I was like, "Oh, I'll just walk because I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to take the van, and then I'm not even in the band." You know what I mean? So I just walked, and then as soon as I left, everybody hung out with Cradle of Filth without me, and I
fuck.
was
Were you
so
devastated?
upset. I was devastated.
That's horseshit.
Even I hung out with Cradle of Filth once.
I know everybody.
Me and Cradle of
did.
Filth hang out like all the damn time.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
You watch Jeopardy.
I bet they're kicking themselves now, babe. They're
Yeah.
just like out there, be like, man, we best hang out Jess Roberts.
For Jess Robert.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. Did you have like a Wiccan, like witchy, like spells phase, or
No, I did not. No, it just kind of after the whole goth light phase. I guess you could call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Whatever.
because
Preteens do.
Avril's kind of in a different category.
Yeah, it
than,
wasn't so
like-
much gothy as
Yeah,
it was
it
like
escalated a little bit, but it didn't last
like
too long.
rebel-y and
yeah,
like
rebel-y and like grungy rock vibes
yeah,
to show.
totally.
And then I went, after her, I graduated into a little bit of like a more like intense, like black lipstick, like goth phase. But I think after that, it kind of died down, and I didn't know.
So Avril was like gateway goth in a lot of ways.
Avril was, the gateway goth. Next thing you know, you're.
Black lipsticking.
It's true. That's true.
It was a very
that's
serious
true.
moment in my life.
That is what happens, especially at that age. It was like, oh, Avril, she's a little different.
What
else is
gateway
different?
goth in my age, because I'm a little older than both you girls, was Korn. Like
Corn.
grade
love
6, 7,
Korn.
8
I love
in my
Korn
school.
now. Like,
yeah, I mean they're
I'm
still dope,
obsessed,
and that music holds up. Freak on a Leash is a joint.
Yeah.
But at my school at that
Full Limp
age,
Bizkit
it was
for
like
ya?
all these like cool little virgins were like acting so like dark and listening to 9 Inch Nails at the time, and then of course Marilyn Manson took over, and that became a whole thing.
Yeah. I kind of like those bands later in life, but I wasn't goth at all. Like I was now, like I am now.
When I was in high school, it's funny. I was very anti-bully. I was bullied a lot as a kid, and so I was very anti-bully. But there was one group of people that it almost seemed like it was okay to bully, and it was the goth kids. Like I remember, like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I never said mean things to fat kids. I never said mean things definitely to like minorities or gay kids. I said mean things to goth kids.
Because I think the reason why people think it's okay to say mean things to goth kids is because they're presenting themselves in a way that's like, look at me. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like, whereas a nerd, he's just trying to be him. You know what I mean? So maybe leave him alone.
And I suppose there too, but you're right. There's more of a performance to it.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's kind of asking for the roasting in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not walking around making fun of goth kids today, except for my podcast, of course. But
yeah, there's a chance this person would listen. I don't think so, so I should be careful what I say. But I happen to know a furry, a real life furry in real life. Furries, and
he's a really nice guy.
Really great guy. I've known him for a really long time. He's a really nice guy. And you know what? That's cool if that's what you're into. But the interesting part in this kind of tagging up to what we just said was that one time he told me, because he wears a tail pretty much everywhere.
All the time?
Yeah. So he has a full costume that he wears, but the tail he just wears.
Can I ask? What is it? What is the costume?
It's like a fox, I think. It's like a colorful.
Sexy fox.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a colorful, sexy fox. And he wears a tail everywhere. And essentially he went to this like event, a public event, and he was like, everyone is looking at me. I didn't like it. And I was like,
what the fuck?
You could try not wearing the tail. Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of feel like it's the same thing with goth kids, where it's like, of course, I don't think they should be bullied, but
I agree.
It's
but
not who.
But don't you dare bring it over to furries and cut back. Like we're not going to stay talking about furries for a second.
Yeah, let's dial it back a second.
What's interesting to me is not that there is one person who puts on a tail or a suit and thinks it's sexy. That's not surprising. What's surprising is there's so many of them.
There's a lot.
That there's a community that we are all aware of. And granted, up until this point, I had never met somebody who self-identified in that way, or at least told me that they did. You know what I mean? Maybe I know some closeted furries. But this is the first out furry that I know.
Yeah.
And there's many of them, and you see the videos, and there's like huge gatherings, and so
don't you remember where I used to work?
Yeah, that's right. At a costume store.
I worked at a costume store, so they were like one of our biggest customers. You know
so it's very telling. It's very telling. There's something happening in people, sexually, psychologically, sociologically or whatever.
Y'all.
That's 2018, y'all. There's something happening in the developing of people that 2% of us identify as a furry, or 0.2% of us, whatever the number is.
2% is kind of generous.
But whatever. Okay, but let's say it's 0.2%. It's more that identify as that than identify as I like to only fuck on rooftops, or whatever other little fetish you might have. Yeah. It's big enough that we all know about the community. Yeah. And so what is the reason that is such a huge fetish?
Yeah, it's a very safe fetish to have too, because it really doesn't affect anybody else. As long as you're not dressed up as that and going to these events, you're pretty safe from their fetish. Whereas if somebody has a foot fetish, they might be like jerking off to your feet, you know what I mean?
Here's a
Which
question.
isn't very nice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I perceive
to be train and someone's
I'm just trying to wear sandals,
from A to B, babe.
I perceive there to be some like childlike essence to the furriness, where they're kind of like,
yes.
and they're like running around. Is that true, or is that just me being a dick?
This is my theory, because I get it a little bit.
Because maybe it's regressive then in a way. It's kind of like them playing like kids in a way too.
This will kind of tag up to something that we've talked about before too, is that kind of the same way that some people like animated porn, a la me. I like a lot of animated stuff.
Oh yeah.
I kind of feel like furry is.
We'll come back to that. No, keep going, but we'll come back to that.
I kind of feel like furry is a similar thing, where it's like they don't want to watch a real life woman being kind of degraded. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to see a man being degraded either, or a man whatever happening to him. So it's all of a sudden you're disconnecting from the people involved in the porn, and it just becomes this thing with a dick. You know what I mean? It's like a furry animal with a dick, and it's not hurting anybody. You know what I mean? Like I kind of, I don't know if that's what it is, but I kind of could get it from that.
So
angle.
it's like regression with like the pursuit of safety,
taking the people out of sexuality almost. Like people suck, so let's make them animals.
I don't want to think about this person's backstory when I'm watching them fuck. I just want to like kind of see them fuck.
And maybe in a way, are they hiding from their own backstory? Perhaps.
Could be.
Oh wow, we're gonna get deep with them. I'm finna cry out here. No, for sure.
But you know what I mean? Because like you said, it's playing a role. I once heard somebody say that a psychologist say that people who do really great impressions are often have had rough lives. They like to disconnect from themselves. It's part of their ability to slide into the characters of other people. And so there might even be something there in that when they're thinking about sexiness, they don't want to think about themselves.
Yeah.
And this girl named Amy.
Yeah.
They want to think about these two Disney characters.
But I think it might
That's
be a little
safer and easier for
A little
them.
diminutive to assume that all furries are having sexual abuse in their
Oh no, I don't mean to say all.
Yeah,
certainly.
no. And we're also just theorizing why you might be into being a furry. There could be so many reasons why you might enjoy it.
And sexual
you know what I
abuse is
mean?
only one reason why somebody might not want to be thinking about themselves and their low self-worth when they're being
You're
sexy.
100%
Yeah,
right. You
there's
might
a
just
lot
kind
of
of want to.
different
You
reasons.
might just like disconnecting a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's probably 1,000 reasons from
That's
wanting
what
for
I'm
wanting
like.
to
I've
disconnect.
never
But I
really-
do think furries are a little weird. Like, I'm gonna put it out there. It's a little weird, but
Yeah.
cool. Do your thing. Like, I'm happy for you.
Well, on a show I'm watching right now, it's not that great a show, and to be honest, I can't remember what it's called. But they talk about abnormal behavior and psychopaths and stuff, and he makes the point that abnormal behavior is only abnormal because the rest of us wouldn't do it.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so in that way, it is weird in that most people look at that and go, I don't even understand what would lead you in that direction, let alone.
Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Oh no, yeah, and I think abnormal is an important word, and wrong is an important word because if something is abnormal, it doesn't mean it's wrong. If no one's being hurt, and in fact, it looks like a
Weird
degree.
is okay.
It looks like
Weird is
even
great
though
to
it's
me,
not our
yeah.
thing, it looks a little fun.
Yeah.
I would kind of try for it.
If I told you I got a Groupon and it was like $5 each, and you go to this like a hotel and they give you a whole costume and you can fuck your significant other dressed as furry, I'd go do it.
Oh my god, double
I
date.
would not go do it.
Are we doing this? Is this a double date happening right now?
First of all, I have a
wouldn't
lot
do
of
it?
questions.
You wouldn't
Fox
do it.
Where is the
Dibs
costume
on
coming
Fox.
from? Has somebody fucked in it
No,
before
it's safe.
us?
It's safe and clean. It's safe and clean. Like,
It's a brand
This
new
is a
one.
thought
It
experiment.
sounds hot and sweaty and like, I don't know.
Okay, the point I'm making is, it doesn't look not fun. It looks relatively fun.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah. I would rather do that than like
I think we're
stretch
gonna
out my
convince Jess a
nipples
little
with
bit
like clamps and shit.
Oh yeah,
Like,
when I see that porn where there's like ball gags and shit, and it's like they look physically uncomfortable. That doesn't look fun to me. The furriness looks comfortable and fun.
A lot of times, at least because they have a furry convention like in Vegas and my buddy Spencer, one of my great friends, he
Fetish
he
conventions, that's
bounces
my shit.
like a furry night at Hard Luck all the time, and he's like,
course he
they're
does.
a lot of times they're not even like it's not a sex thing. They just
Yeah.
are into like heavy petting.
and to be honest,
Where they're literally petting each other heavily.
this is a blanket statement.
Yeah, isn't heavy petting usually not mean actual petting though? Because
no, heavy petting is like
heavy petting usually means like hand jobs.
Whoa, what kind of furry conventions? do you
No,
go
I think
to?
heavy
No, I
petting,
mean, like,
heavy
in
petting
high
is like
school.
bump and grinding. Like
Yeah,
heavy
yeah,
petting
yeah.
is like
Oh, I didn't know
like
that. I didn't
without
understand the
penetration, no coming.
That's what I mean.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
just like
It's like, but it's like touching on titties, maybe.
maybe yeah.
Just touching on.
But in her case, heavy petting is actual petting, which
I
is
thought
really
he was
funny.
just actually petting someone.
like just like heavy, like hard petting, like
You like that? Yeah, you do.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's kind of good. I also kind of think that every furry, no, sorry, I shouldn't say every.
Never say every.
Most furries that say it is not a sexual thing are lying. And I know that from specific experience of a few that I've heard say that, and they give me a very sexual vibe. Not the one I was talking about previously, but from like work and stuff like
Sure.
that. I was just
people
like,
that you've met through the costume company.
there's an overall sexual and like pictures that they post and things like that. Like I'm just like, these are sexual pictures. These are like a dog on another dog's lap, and they're
It's-
like almost kissing. Like it's
Are
like
there
it's
more
sexual.
out furries or more private furries? That's what I want to know.
These particular furries?
Just in life, are there more furries
Oh, yeah,
that
for
are
sure.
out being furries or
Furries that are
Like
willing.
some like businessmen who are like
That's
furries
what
on
I'm
their
saying. Is
spare
there more
time.
of
Oh, for
that
sure.
or
Yeah,
more
100%. Who aren't willing to, because ultimately you would risk your career and potentially your relationship. So let's say you're a regular guy, right? You're Jim and you're scrolling the internet and you scroll past.
I love that you picked Jim for the normal guy name.
a sponsored ad for his furry convention, and you've never really seen that. And you're like, oh, and your dick moves just a little,
Yeah.
and then you go, that might be my thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't immediately go buy a tail because you risk everything. Janice isn't going to understand that. Neither is the other partners at the firm.
Oh,
No-
Janice is Jim's wife.
Yeah, Jim and
Okay, great,
Janice.
great, great.
Jim and
What are
Janice.
their kids called? Bryce and Ashley?
Bryce and Ashley. Sure, I like it.
Okay, good. Awesome.
Ashley's a little dated, I feel like.
And a dog
no,
named
no one's
Cooper.
naming their kid Ashley now, are they?
Someone named
Wendy
Jim and
with an
Janice
I.
might.
Yeah, that's true.
And the dog is Cooper, and he definitely would not buy a tail and risk all of that. Him and Coop's late night walks.
Get a little intimate.
He puts a little My Favorite Murder in his headphones and walks Coop late at night.
A little sword and scale for you.
And he thinks about wearing a tail. And then what he does is this is what he does. After like 2 or 3 years of thinking about maybe what it would feel like to wear a tail, he goes to a store and like touches one, but doesn't buy it.
And then he gets a little excited.
No, he touches
Gets
it,
all
and then he
excited.
runs home and jerks off.
Yeah.
2 years after
Janice is
that,
none the wiser.
he books a business trip to Vegas the same week as the convention, He pops in, he pokes around, he insists he's not.
I got lost. Oh, I just ended up here.
Yeah, I'm, you know, it's interesting. This is so interesting, but he's actually been thinking about it for years.
You've been thinking about this whole. Are you making a movie right now? Like, are we writing a movie?
Listen,
It sounds compelling as fuck. I would listen.
I have this ability. I don't remember anything that's ever happened in my life, but you describe a person to me and I will deconstruct their entire life for you in front of your
people watching
eyes.
is my favorite. I'm
gift.
like, I know this person's story.
But I can people watch without the people. So isn't that interesting? I think that makes me a psycho.
Yeah, a little bit psycho. Or a
love
great
it.
writer,
Or-
either one.
Or potentially genius writer.
Imagination comparable to none.
So
Maya might be my favorite guest today.
Fuck, we just talked about furries for so long. I just
Oh, that's my favorite.
definitely it's going to be in the description of the episode.
the furry podcast. My feelings in there a little bit. Mostly talking about
Maybe
furries.
we'll find a secret like group of fans. Oh no, they'll probably feel bad though because we talked.
No,
bad about it.
okay. I want to say to
You
any
guys are
furries
great, by the
listening,
way.
Janice,
love you. We love you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers to furries.
Yes, I think we should cheers to
Respect,
furries.
respect.
Hey, it's all love,
Whatever
man.
your thing
Nothing
is.
but love.
I've got weird things. You know,
Oh, we all do. We all
all
do.
got
We're all
weird
human or furry. Whatever you want to be.
whatever you want to be.
Whatever you want to be.
really quickly, I just want to go back to the witchcraft thing because I did so much research before this episode.
Oh
to
yeah,
talk about
hit it.
Yeah.
So did you ever do like light as a feather, like stiff as a
Oh
board?
my god, yes, I'm a girl. Of course I did.
Okay, cool. So that's kind of in the witchcraft like realm because
the
it's
Ouija
like
board,
yeah,
that
Ouija
going.
board. Light as a. We did this one thing called 99 doors where we would all hold hands in a circle and we'd close our eyes and we'd pretty much like it's a very good writing activity really because we'd pretty much tell a story of this like creepy house we were in. We'll be like, I can hear someone coming, and we'd be like, oh my god, run! And
I
like
would always try to get my friends to do writing prompts, like circles with me, and they're like, "What? No, lame." I'm glad that you did that too. Awesome.
So as I was researching this, I wanted to know like how much there is about like spells on YouTube, like spells you can cast. And oh my God, I had so much fun looking at the spells. And they are all like preteens. It makes sense because that's kind of the age that you get into it. And I think there's two different reasons why you get into that kind of around that age. One is like rebellion. So what's the most you can rebel from your parents who are probably like Catholic or something, you know what I mean? Whatever the most common thing
Protestant,
is.
whatever.
Or any type of religion, really.
But if you're looking at when that website was put out, let's say that website went public in 1996 or 1999 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the kids of Catholic or Protestant parents. It for sure is.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure it is.
Oh, I'm talking about current YouTube
the
channels
ones that you
too.
think
though.
Oh, you're saying even right now?
Yes,
Oh,
correct.
it means it still applies. I was just thinking
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my childhood, all those girls definitely had like Catholic moms
Yes.
and like.
And even if
Christian
if your
moms.
parents are non-religious, like what's the most you can rebel by doing witchcraft? Like it seems like a thing that like
If you're-
YouTube's
if-
so
Witchcraft
rebellious
nerd,
and like anyone's parents would be kind of like either eyebrow
Yeah.
raised
If-
or
if-
like mad at them.
If your
to
mom is an
find out.
atheist, she still comes home and she's like, "So you're a witch now."
So what's with like the dead birds everywhere?
She's like, it's starting to sink in there, Rachel.
And the second thing is using your imagination, I think, in like a feminine way, because boys always had like Power Rangers and they have superheroes and they have like all these crazy like masculine things. And then sometimes there's like one girl character in those. Like we just got a Wonder
She's
Woman
there
recently.
to
You know
look
what I
hot
mean?
in a
Like,
tight costume.
That's changed a lot recently.
sure it has.
But that's only in the last 2 years, I'd say. Before that, yeah, it's all
like,
men.
It's
for
very
sure.
any of the changes like that were very recent. So and we're still like there's still vast
yeah.
majority is male. Right?
But I think it's probably changed by about a times of 10 since
Yeah, no,
two or 3 years
for
ago.
sure. I get that. So when you think of it back then, it's just like, yeah, we had no like female powerful things with like crazy powers and things like that.
we
So
had
I
Charmed. We had Charmed.
that's what I mean. It's a witches. Like witches is
Buffy,
like
yeah.
It's all about like
Supernatural, yeah.
Wow,
witches
these are-
and vampires and stuff are kind of like the female like Power Rangers and superheroes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh,
It totally makes sense.
100%.
Yeah, so I just want to play this really quick because I think it's really adorable. So I looked up like on YouTube like spells to cast because I remember one of the things were like, oh, I want to change like my hair color. Is there like a spell I can
Like
get?
in the craft, where she does this.
Yeah.
No, she
Yes,
just
because
comes blonde.
that's exactly why.
I'm sure you said this, but maybe you breezed past it. Let me
Yeah.
clarify because I think this is funny.
Yes,
There are magic spells on YouTube.
correct.
Okay, thank
Hell
you.
yeah, there are.
And they're mostly like preteens, like 12, 13-year-olds who are telling you how to do a spell. And I'm
kind of
just going to play a
adorable.
little bit of this one.
So, first you have to say a spell. The spell you
Put
have
it right
to
up.
say is, my hair is such a bore, change to the color of it galore, make it turn to a beautiful, and then like say the color you want your hair to turn into.
Huh.
In 3 days,
Sounds
grant
legit.
my wish some more to be.
So there's a lot of
cute.
these.
Is there one?
cute.
Is there one for dick size? Asking for a podcast listener. I won't say
Asking
your
for
name.
a friend. Definitely
I
not
won't
me.
say
What would
your
what would
name.
the rhyme be? Can you give the spell?
Oh, I don't know how these rhymes go.
If a bigger dick is what you desire, then say this: Earth, Wind, and Fire. And blah, 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 blah. And then you proceed to say like how many inches, etc.
Yeah.
That's how it
How many inches,
In-
etc.
insert-
How many inches you desire? Say these like blah, blah.
1,
Riddles
2, 3.
And then she says, repeat it for every day for a week, and then your hair will start to change color.
Okay,
Why don't you just buy some L'Oreal and I'm gonna.
I'm gonna try that for my dick though.
Isn't that adorable, though?
That is actually really
I also
cute.
read that witches are like a great allegory for any minority group that's had to go underground to kind of like celebrate what they are. So whether that's a minority religion or a minority race or whatever.
They're the only
so-
persecuted, other than Frankenstein. They're really the only like persecuted of like the monsters.
Yeah.
Witches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird.
they were
because,
burned and
you know,
drowned
witches
and-
were essentially just women practicing, practicing Wiccas, but they were for some reason persecuted as if they were. I suppose like worshiping the devil was the
And you know what?
part of it that
you
didn't
know,
go
you know
over
what
so
might be
well.
a fun step from there, especially having two intelligent ladies at the table at the same time.
Holla.
And in the podcast world, there's a lot of dudes, so it's cool to have two women at the table at the same time. I didn't find out until way later in life, like probably in my late 20s, after how old you guys are, literally right now, that when you hear the stories about the witches of old being burned, and that's what they did to take down any powerful woman. They would just accuse her of
Yeah.
being a witch,
Yes.
so they could just burn her. And it's like you watch all those movies, and because in the movie she's a witch.
Any woman in charge.
But then
of her
we
own
know
sexuality,
we know in real life there are actually no witches.
Yeah.
So what we have is just a woman who took things into her own hands.
The internet
and did-
disagrees, but
Sure, but you know.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay, speaking from the scientist's perspective, there are no witches, and so what you have is just men being like, "She's a witch." I agree, she's a witch.
She's in control of her own sexuality. She
Yeah.
makes her own choices.
Totally.
It's like that's not cool. You're gonna get
Yeah.
burned.
Yeah, I told her to do something. She did the opposite. Sounds like a witch to me.
Well, I mean, poets and artists and musicians were also persecuted in those ages as well, men and women alike. They were a lot of
Yeah.
what's the guy who was like the rock star poet of like the 1700s?
So independent thinking was super.
Thinkers were not
they would
cool.
say they had like brain
Not great.
disorders and things like
But
that.
it's easier to say a woman has hysteria than she is just independent and confident in the
Yeah.
ages. It's still happens now.
I have some more witch facts for you guys.
Keep going.
Hit me.
So did you know that somebody
Hit
can
me,
be a
baby.
witch without being a Wiccan? Because Wiccan is the religion. So basically, yeah, Wiccan is an organized religion, while witchcraft itself is not considered a religion. So somebody could just be like, "Yeah, I'm a witch. I'm not Wiccan, but
What's
I'm
the
just like a witch."
difference?
Oh, that could be.
Yeah, I
get it.
think I think the witch is just somebody who just chooses to do witchcraft. So let's say I want to look up spells and stuff, and I
Oh,
want to
so
try and do
Wiccan
that.
So that
is
little
a-
12-year-old
I
that we
could be
just
a
listened to.
witch.
So Wiccan is a belief system.
She's
It's
probably a
not the
witch,
same as being a witch.
Yeah, so if you don't want to attach yourself to any kind of religion, you can just be a witch. But if you want to be like, "Oh, I'm a witch and I'm Wiccan," it's like yeah.
From what you said, it sounds like Wiccan is a belief system.
Yes,
it's like
correct.
it's like the religion,
Wiccan
and
is
being
the
a witch is a separate thing.
Exactly.
Do Wiccans have like a equivalent of the Bible? Like, how does it work? What are they? Are they?
Ooh.
Yeah, I
have,
think
like-
so.
Do they have like one like thing that they kind
Like a leather-bound book.
that smells of rich mahogany?
Seems like that would be. Did you also know that there's more Wiccans than Scientologists?
Thank the
Yeah,
Lord.
I'm glad to hear that. Which Lord are you thanking?
I just feel like I hear about.
the weird Scientologist one.
I want to thank the Lord. The Lord I want to thank is the blue guy with all the arms.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yes,
I have him on my Instagram. I posted a picture like 3 days ago. I'm obsessed.
I'm pretty sure Dr. Manhattan
With a watch
isn't an actual Lord, is he?
No, it's his fictional
the guy with
character
the
from.
blue?
He's a fictional character from a graphic novel by Alan Moore.
He's the blue guy from what's it called, The Watchmen, or
Watchmen.
whatever.
I'm
right?
actually getting a Watchmen.
I meant
tattoo
like
next
the guy
week.
with like the elephant face from like the Hindu religion, I think.
Are you talking about this guy?
No, but also him.
I'm really bad with stuff like that, but I know what you mean.
I'm pretty sure there was like an elephant face god.
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
There is. Yeah, there's
Ganesh?
yeah, Ganesh.
Ganesh is from Hinduism.
Yes.
He's an actual god.
Yeah, you were right, babe. See, there you go.
That's the guy I meant.
you.
Yeah, and his vehicle of choice is a tiny mouse. My grandparents
Whose
used to
isn't,
have
though, right?
tons of Ganesh figurines.
I mean, if
in
you
their
can really,
house.
if you
Yeah.
could really afford it, who doesn't want a tiny mouse to get around?
I just
in?
want a tiny mouse. Yeah.
What you got for us?
We were just talking about
You let him say
no,
something.
we were talking about the witch, and the thing that brought to my mind about the persecution of witches in that time is I really love when people talk about today being modern times as not being the safest time in history. People are like, it's worse than ever, and it's just like,
bit, yeah.
do you know that there were moments in time where like I could have a fight with you and be like, you know what, fuck this dude, and I could just kill him, throw him off a cliff
In a duel.
and then it's just like, anybody see Brad? Nope. And there are no police. It's just like, that's the origin of mankind.
Yeah.
There's like the Dark Ages were the Dark Ages for a reason. People just went missing. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you talk about they got rid of witches to get rid of women, powerful women. And
Does anybody
intelligent
actually
women.
argue that now is worse?
It happens not worse than then. They just make statements like
Like, it's not that crazy
like
different.
it's getting worse than ever. Like it's
Yeah.
one of the worst times to ever
No,
be
it's
alive.
constantly getting better. It's just sometimes things bring to light how bad it is with like Trump or whatever, you know what I mean? Like brings to light how bad it still is and how much we need to grow still type thing.
It was so
But
bad.
it's always getting better, you know?
It was so bad in the past, even when they make movies about those eras, where they're the brutally real movies. You know, that's the perspective
Yeah.
of this movie. Is that it's like, oh, it's brutally real. They still have to tone it down because if you make a movie where every other baby dies,
Yeah.
nobody goes to see that movie.
Yeah.
If
No,
you
that's
make a
true.
movie
I
where
want to see
like
the Avengers, not that shit.
every old person dies in their 30s, it's hard to watch these movies.
Schindler's List.
70% of the cast is dead by the time I understand what they're like, what's going on.
Everyone's fucking dead.
And that's the reality. If you go back to certain eras in time, that's the reality, is that every woman giving birth died. 80% of the babies died, and then 80% of kids got sick, and then 80% of adults got eaten by some shit. And that's so if you're gonna make a caveman movie, you're not gonna put all that in the movie. You're gonna be like, no, the family's healthy.
You're gonna make it more like year one or something.
Yeah, exactly. They're sitting on this cliff watching the sunset. No, fuck that. Like, somebody stepped on some shit and now their foot is infected and he's dead immediately.
I like a
cold, he's
comfortable
dead now.
medium, you know?
No, me too. I just think we really rose color history. I think when we think about history, you don't think about those things. And when we go to Europe, we're walking down the streets of Belgium. I said to you, at some point here, the Black Plague came through here.
Wow, way to ruin a romantic moment, dude.
Yeah, that's what I do. It wasn't our.
I know. We're like holding hands.
It wasn't our honeymoon.
Babe, tons of people shot themselves and died right where we're standing.
Right where we're standing. Think about that. Think about that, baby.
And then he proposed.
I want you to think about that, baby. People just throwing their babies out the window.
Why do you have that voice in this scenario?
Because that's how I talk when I talk. When I get sexy, that's how I
talking
talk. Yeah.
Being smooth.
I just want to think about that. Okay.
But it is crazy to think about that you're like, wow, a very different world lived on this very spot where right now things are
Are
very,
we
very good.
backsliding into hell right now? That's the question we got to ask.
No, things are getting amazing right now. Even with Trump, even with bullshit, even with Kim Jong-un, even with all
Why
of
we
the...
all have to go out and vote.
It's still amazing.
7th and make sure we vote so Doug Ford doesn't win.
Hell yes.
Oh
I
my
have,
gosh, the beers
hellish
thing.
State.
yeah, talk
Can you
about
please?
it.
No, I was going to say, can you? I love how
talk
we're
about
both
that.
telling each other.
Okay, I'll talk about it.
I feel like you would know
I'll
better.
talk about it.
Yeah,
Was
you
that
would.
real? I just
it's
came across
real.
that
It's
today.
real.
Tell
It's
me
unfortunate.
the
really
deal.
real. So Doug Ford has...
So explain who that is for our American listeners.
Yeah, so if you're not from this
Donald Trump
area,
light, yeah.
he is a man that is running for Premier of Ontario, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, which is essentially the leadership of Ontario, the biggest province in Canada, and arguably the one that has the most influence in the country and the
most
most
followers.
population. We certainly have the most followers on Instagram. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great way to put it. And for people from around the world, you probably remember Doug as being the brother of infamous Rob Ford, our crack-smoking mayor.
Rest in peace.
Great liar, great embarrassment of people. Racist.
Misogynistic motherfucker.
Homophobe.
R.I.P. though, right?
Of course. May he rest in peace.
You know what? They say don't talk bad about the dead, and I say don't talk unfairly about the dead. I won't say anything
All
unfair.
those things we said are true.
I won't say anything unfair about him. Those are facts, the things that he said. The only good thing he ever said that I love, and I will give him credit where it's due, is where somebody said he said something, and he's like, "Why would I ever say that?" I get plenty of pussy to eat at home.
I have a shirt that says that legit.
And listen,
I have more than
it's
enough to
one
eat
of my
at home.
favorite. Was one of my favorite politician quotes of all time.
That's hilarious.
And I say it hurts nobody. It's kind of the perfect like blue collar thing to say.
Quick aside, when I worked at the costume store, when Rob Ford was still alive and everybody was like super into making fun of him, I ordered like 200 Rob Ford masks.
I love this. I remember
and then
it.
he died. So then nobody wants to make fun of a guy who just died. So we just have like all the masks still
remember.
sitting in the basement.
Find a use for them.
I remember when it happened.
So if anybody wants like 150 Rob Ford masks, give me a call.
Give
I
the
remember.
furries.
I remember when you told me the salesman came and you're like, so they offer these Rob Ford masks. He's like the biggest celebrity from Toronto in the world right now.
Everyone was asking for them.
Everyone's
Everyone
asking, and
wanted
you
it.
said to me like, "Do you think people will buy it?" And I
He's
remember
on
thinking
Kimmel.
like, "Yeah, you know what? I could see it being like the easy Halloween costume this
and like
year."
those Nixon masks,
and the
Obama
mask was
masks
really
are
well
so
done,
popular.
and so you're like, "I'm
Are
going
they
to do
hyper
it."
realistic? Is that the thing?
It was
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty good.
You're like, "I'm going to do it," and
Can
you
I
ordered
have
so
one?
many.
Can I have two? Don't ask why, please.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
do you remember this? I made a music video with it,
Yes.
even before it was available to the public.
with a guy smoking crack, like out of the mask.
We had a
and
guy
stuff.
named a Toronto rapper, shout out Chris Thomas, who wore the
think I saw that.
Rob Ford mask, and we made the music video, and it was called "Party Like I'm Rich," and then in brackets we called it "Rob Ford crashed our house party last night," and we got Toronto Magazine to share it, and it became this whole thing. And it would mean this is like a little bit earlier in my career, but it was a really fun moment. It's like, I wouldn't even thought about that if you hadn't brought up that Rob Ford mask.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, sorry. Continue
so
talking.
we're going
about
all the way
Doug.
back. So that's Rob Ford. Now, Doug Ford is his brother. Ford Nation is the fucking movement. They're these blue collar, quietly racist, not super progressive motherfuckers. And Doug in particular rubs me the wrong way. Everything he says, yeah. And to be honest, I don't have nearly as much data about Doug as I have about Rob because Rob was in the public eye for longer. But Doug appears to
Pretty
be
similar though, right?
and he
Doug was out there supporting him.
he's pretty much said from the jump, me and my brother are the same. Like, so he's said that, and if that's the true, then that's everything we just said about Rob applies.
It does. That's what he's like openly.
So he's running for leadership of Ontario, and he announces, and to me, this is a thing that he's had in his pocket for a minute that they've been waiting on, a big publicity stunt. This is going to get us a big pile of voters. He announces he's bringing back a buck of beer, $1 beers, which is the equivalent of, do you guys remember when you're running for like student council in high school and you're like,
No more homework for you.
we're going to lower the price of the vending machines.
More pizza parties.
Yeah.
More pizza parties. And then the teacher goes, yeah, guys, he does not have the power to do any of those things.
I was student council president in grade 8, and that's what I said. More pizza parties, and I
There you
didn't
go.
do that. I did not do it.
Did you have
I just
more
won the
pizza
vote.
parties?
So there is a chance that he has in his pocket the ability to give a beer company a tax rebate that therefore lowers the price back to 24 for 24 like it was when I was in college. It's possible he has that leverage. And if that's possible, sure, let's talk about, is it the best move for Ontario to do that thing?
No.
And of course, I don't think it is. I think giving a discount to beer drinkers isn't the answer. I think beer drinkers is how you finance some of the things that make our
I also
province
think
so
when
great.
you're running, so before you've been elected, if you're using that for your campaign, I think it's red flag to me.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's just
for
like
sure.
It's
there
publicity
should be,
stunt.
There
Cheap-
should be
cheap
other things
platform.
that are way
Cheap.
more
Is this a
important.
platform?
But for example, once somebody gets
distracting.
in, I wouldn't have a problem with them doing that once
That's what
they
I'm
get
saying.
in. That's
If that's
cool,
a possibility,
fine,
and if
or
you can make a
whatever.
case that that's
But it's
positive,
like-
then sure. But
But it's like when you're running, it's like, is that really the main thing you want to focus on?
yeah, to me,
Bigger issues at hand in general.
agreed.
Yeah, well,
to
yeah,
me, it
of
says
course.
vote for me
Lazy,
because vote for me because beer will be cheaper. Don't worry about the other stuff.
But I
And
mean,
it's
a
appealing-
Doug Ford supporter might be like, hell yeah.
That's exactly
I
what
don't
it
know why
is.
I have a southern accent in this-
He
in
knows
this
who
scenario,
to appeal to. He knows he's not going to get our vote. He's not trying to appeal to us.
You're right.
That's
You know
why
what
we
I
all
mean?
gotta get out and
He
vote.
knows who he's trying to appeal to,
And if you are a mildly racist white male,
Then,
a buck of beer might be enough to be like, well, I don't hate him.
or
Yeah.
just someone who likes.
or if
Get
you
fucked
weren't
up on
going to
cheap
vote,
beer.
That's what I mean.
this campaign is just like, oh, like, you know what I mean?
He's not
Got
saying
something to
anything
vote
I
for.
don't agree
fucking-
with.
I don't
That's tragic
I don't care about the
as
guy, but I'll vote for a buck of beer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Vote for your future.
I know.
If I've been saying this, and I will continue to say it, if he is elected, it's open season. I will just spend time of my life on the shitter smoking a joint because I do that. Just thinking of funny, mean shit I can say about that man.
Okay, hit me with 2 comments.
Oh, it doesn't work like that. Also, I'm not in great shape. I'm a bit jet lagged, and I think I got a broken rib, which we'll talk about still.
yeah,
I'd like,
I want to hear this story.
I'd like to spill about my rib right in a minute, so people just don't think I'm rubbing my titty for no reason.
Yeah.
But I will spend some time roasting that piece of shit because I'm not a fan, and I think honestly, it just occurred to me recently. This is going to sound really naive and stupid, but I'm going to admit it. It occurred to me recently when I was thinking about Trump. He's not my leader, but you have one life, and these people are your leader. Think about if this was like any other place, and you're like, hey, we just landed on this island. Who's the leader? And they're like, this fucking guy.
This piece of shit.
He's the leader. You're like, and that's just, it just suddenly occurred to me how absurd that is. That people I loathe, people that I would, like, I'm not aggressive. I would want to hit either of those people in the face.
Totally.
People that make me feel that way are in charge of me somehow. I'm just really like, it just somehow hit me like a ton of bricks that that's the case.
That's like the point I made the other night. I saw this meme online, which I'm sure you've seen similar things, that said it was like a picture of the Kardashians, a picture of the Cash Me Outside girl, and like a few other, Lil Yachty and a few other people. But the meme said, stop making stupid people famous. And in my opinion, why I think we should be allowed to be entertained by stupid people.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Stop making stupid people presidents. And you know
Danielle
what I mean? Like,
Bregoli is Cash Me Outside girl's not running our fucking.
no,
yeah.
exactly.
She's not
It's
hurting
like,
anybody.
let her make music. I don't like it, but
I don't
it's like
support that shit, but
let her
you
make
know,
music and let her be
exist.
fun. It's just supposed to be entertainment. It's just supposed to be fun and stupid and whatever.
Yeah, she's a guilty pleasure.
Even the Kardashians, it's like they're not doing anything political. Let them do what they're doing.
They don't decide whether people can have abortions or not.
No, yeah. So let them be Instagram. That's what Instagram is for. You know what I mean? Like, let them do that, and let's fucking elect people who have more than half a brain.
We aren't super political, but it occurs to me that things need to change however they need to change so that the kinds of people who would blow our minds are interested in being premier and president. Because right now, things are not set up in the way that the smartest person in Ontario even would want to be premier.
Yeah.
He has no interest.
Do you know what? I actually think that silver lining with Trump, he might have helped that, because then people can see that, like, oh, actually it is easy. I can just run. You know what I mean? So then people who actually would be like awesome people who would maybe
I don't want fucking Oprah to be the president of the United States. I mean, like, if I was American, I would like Oprah. Awesome, love her, but I wouldn't want her to be the fucking president of the United States of America. Like,
See, I disagree.
I disagree too, because
we've spoken about this before.
They are just like a figurehead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not.
And
necessarily-
Oprah would.
They're
Oprah
making, like,
would make.
decisions.
See, here I disagree with
They've
you.
got their finger on the button.
I disagree
Fire
with you.
the
that
missiles.
Oprah, for example, who's not even somebody I've supported in our past conversations, because I'm actually the person I think is going to.
anti-Oprah?
No, no,
You
no.
fucking asshole.
I'm pro The Rock. We've just never discussed Oprah.
Okay, I'm okay with The Rock being president
Yeah.
because that'd be lit.
But let's say Oprah ran, and she said she's not going to. But let's say she did. She's level-headed. She's an incredible problem solver. She knows how to juggle
am
really
I.
intense things. No, I know. I hear you. But if you had run corporations and impacted world culture in a progressive way for 30 years, I would also say, sure. Like, I just don't understand why Mitt Romney is great for the job, because most political analysts believe he would be good at the job. Yeah. And Oprah is a joke. Like, I disagree. I don't understand why.
I don't
Because
think
she
it's
was
a
an
joke.
entertainer. I don't disagree.
I don't
know,
think she's a joke.
but
I
many
just, like-
people have. I would say probably even 30-40% of the internet says the equivalent of no more actors, no more celebrities in the White House.
Yeah, I love
And
how
I
they
say, why?
that after the shittiest one was.
Why
made.
not Tom Hanks? Why not Oprah Winfrey?
Yeah.
Why not The Rock? Why is Mitt Romney more qualified?
Any political experience at all? Just bare minimum political experience.
Why?
Just a tiny bit.
But if you watch House of Cards, what you realize is the whole political system is a joke. Hillary Clinton was only the governor of New York.
She was the Secretary of State, dude.
I know. Hear me out, though. Hear me out here, because you're right. But they become governor of New York as a stepping stone to become something national. So a lot of the time they become a governor even in a state that they're not from. The whole thing is a game. I want to be president one day. Well, first you need to be governor. Well, which state is looking for a governor? I'll move there and I'll become the next governor of that state.
I see your point.
It's a weird corporate game that they play, and it's like, I don't know that playing that game makes you more qualified than not playing
Whereas
that game.
Oprah has for years has dealt with all sorts of social issues
She's
on her
met
show.
with world leaders.
She's met with world leaders.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
In a way, the way I just described political system if I'm sure some political analysts would be like, that's a fucking vast simplification
Furry
of it.
political analysts out there listening.
We're really insulting all our furry political analysts.
But in a way, if I said to you, the way that you do it is you have to play this weird game of like moving to places, doing jobs you don't want so you can get next in line for the next job, that sort of sounds like a sociopath who just wants to be in power. Yeah. And Joe Rogan says this, anybody who wants to be president should be the first person on the you can't be president list, because it means
Love me some Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Another podcast.
Yeah, love it.
Forgot about Joe Rogan. Yes, I love him too.
But that's why professors, I listen to some professors talk and I'm like, I didn't know that anybody understood humans at that depth. Why isn't that person premier of Ontario?
Totally.
Why isn't Ontario's smartest and most well-liked professor running things?
Or why isn't the guy from Nathan For You president? Because like,
how much do we need to pay that person?
of course.
Here's an interesting thought experiment.
Oh, yeah,
Let's say Maya is, we checked, and Maya is
the shit.
the smartest and most well-liked professor in Ontario.
Yeah.
We just checked all of the universities and she rates the highest.
Yeah.
How much would we have to pay her so that it was undeniable? And I don't even want a number. The point I'm getting at is we'll pay her whatever is necessary, because the province will save so much money in the long run putting our brightest mind in the position of leadership instead of giving it to this person who's been willing to sacrifice their entire adult life to eventually get into power. That's what politics is.
Yeah.
Well, first I'm going to be, especially like you watch like The Good Wife and you watch these shows, all my listeners know I'd be fucking
love
loving
The
this.
Good
I
Wife?
love The Good Wife. And the way it works is somebody becomes
Like obsessed.
somebody becomes district attorney because they want to be governor one day. So literally straight out of university, they're just taking whatever job gets you the next job, gets you the next job. And that just doesn't sound like somebody I
Now,
want to follow
I
to the
would-
ends of the earth.
For sure. I would argue that going the law route actually does qualify you a little bit,
It
because
qualifies you
you
professionally.
understand people, you understand law, you understand, you know what I mean? Like,
And if we're talking about the best and the brightest being recruited for the next up, for sure.
Yeah.
But no TV show paints that picture. Not House of Cards, not any of these shows. It's not the best and the brightest that gets headhunted. He's the smartest dude in the
He's the
school.
most manipulative chess player
It's the,
out there.
it's the most
He's a chess
manipulative
player.
dude who
He's
knows
a
how to
checkmate
negotiate
kind of
himself
dude.
into that spot, and he lies and he goes, oh, you know what you should really do? And he fucking sabotages that dude's shit. And
But he's smart. Like we're as opposed to
all I'm
Donald
saying
Trump.
is the
Like,
system is broken in a way that the guy who, like, there are geniuses in our city. There are some of the world's smartest minds live right here in Toronto, and they have no interest in running things.
yeah, and why? It's like,
agree.
why Doug Ford? Why?
Doug Ford.
Is there nobody else? There's nobody else?
So why is he the conservative frontrunner? I don't understand it, to be honest.
I
Like,
think name.
why?
I think name is big because
Name
Rob
is
was
big.
very popular amongst conservatives.
Nobody
and blue
wants to
collars.
start from scratch.
But
They
people
just
go
want
to
somebody
Ford- like
related to
Ford
what they
Fest.
already.
You guys heard about this? Like fucking Ford Fest? Like people go
Jesus
to
Christ.
this event.
Oh, their
and
barbecue
they
or
go
whatever,
and
yeah.
be racist and like eat ham sandwiches or whatever the fuck racist people do. Like,
I'm not having it.
not having it. No.
Can I tell you
vote.
my rib story now?
Yes, talk
Yes,
about your ribs.
please. I want to hear.
So contextually to set it up, I just got back from Europe, had a blast, played shows in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
Rotterdam, then back in Amsterdam. Rotterdam show was one of the best shows of my life. We booked a festival in the Netherlands for next April.
Nice.
I'll talk more about that in the future once it's actually confirmed. But I'm really excited. It was an amazing trip. I had a fucking awesome time. Take a flight back home. I'm super beat from a long week of going hard and networking and performing. And I think I always think I'm so smart. And so I try to get off the plane early and like make a move. And I got my jacket and all my shit piled up on my one arm. And above me is like the little red carry-on, one of those hard shell carry-on
This is a plane injury.
suitcase. Oh, it's a plane
Oh,
injury.
sweet.
It's not that exciting.
No, it's really
I thought
really
you
not.
got like gut punched by
Oh.
like a rock and roll dude. Okay, cool.
I really wish it was that sexy because it's nowhere near that sexy. Because all what happened was I just tried to make a move and like be the first from our row to make the lane move.
Yeah.
And so I pulled it and turned, and it just came quick.
Yeah,
it came
you can't-
quicker than
you
I
can't one-hand
expected.
that. You have to
and
two-hand
it,
that.
That's what she
and
said.
it caught me here. It caught me here, and at the time I
the
got like
titty.
I remember getting like the wind knocked out of me, and I was just like, oh, I'll be fine. But then of course you wake up the next day, it's sore.
Yeah.
And then this morning I coughed, and it's just like I'm pretty sure it's like
Dude, go to the
super fucked up.
hospital.
No.
So,
I did some research about it.
You okay?
No, yeah, I did some research about it, and they said basically whether it's a bruised rib or a cracked rib, all they say is to relax. That even if you go see a doctor, they will just simply write you a note to get time off work.
You can't
Yeah.
like. What are you gonna
Because
do?
it's already. It just needs to reset, and it'll take some
Yeah.
time. So I'll be fine. It's just going to be.
Oh, sweet honey.
But yeah, I'm in a lot of pain right now.
And he doesn't like taking Tylenols because trust me, if this was me right now, I'd go get some T3s.
I took some. I took some.
No, I know.
I don't, but I don't like taking lots.
They're also not strong enough. I think you need like T3s or something.
Is the weed helping a little bit?
Yeah, the weed and the booze are helping
the weed also
distract.
makes him cough, which also hurts it.
Oh,
The conversation's great. The podcast and the conversation's helping distract.
You're okay. That sucks.
No, I'm all good. The trip was a blast, though. I have my lighter from the Flying Pig Hostel.
Let me see.
We've talked before about hostels. In fact, you know what? When it goes out, when it finishes, I'm going to put it up on the shelf because we've talked before about how much we love hostels, and
this place is so much fun.
it was so fun. What's really cool about the Flying Pig is this. When I was way younger, we're talking like 2000 and I fucking don't remember anymore. I'm at that age. I don't know what year anything was.
You're only 30, relax.
It was like 8 or 10 years ago. And me and another rapper from my hometown, Barrie, Ontario, a guy named LS, we had it in our heads that we were going to throw a tour called the Hip Hop Revolution Tour.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
We were
all right.
We were young, man. I think I was like 22. So we're talking, 13 years ago, actually. Yeah. So a long time ago. And so we booked some shows in the UK and some like radio interviews, and then we booked some stuff in Belgium and then the Netherlands. It was really exciting at that age to go do this. But we went to Amsterdam, of course, as young potheads. At this time, Canada wasn't even thinking about making weed legal. It was like it's hella illegal to even be having weed. So we landed into Amsterdam, and it is like paradise. Like there were like church bells and angels and rainbows and birds are like flying around
Illy's
our heads.
paradise, yeah.
It was wonderful. And we booked this place called the Flying Hostel, and we had this amazing time. I remember my friend's girlfriend broke up with him via email while we stayed at that hostel.
Bitch.
And so it was like this really intense trip where you're like helping your boy get over his girlfriend.
But then he's like single, so it's like
yeah. I remember we were like flirting with girls.
It's kind of
at
the best
hostel.
time to be single, to be honest. At a hostel, meeting new people.
This is 8 years ago, so you guys weren't together.
No, this is his friend.
It was more like
anyways.
13 years ago. This is ages ago.
Yeah,
okay.
This is like 100 girlfriends ago for me.
And this is your friend, anyways, not you, right?
Yeah, my friend. My friend.
I don't
Alice.
mind if he wingmans. He can wingman hard.
Oh, wingman is just...
So I've been to Amsterdam 5 times since then, and I just never seen that place again. And I even went to a place called the Flying
Pig.
I went to the Flying Pig, and it didn't look familiar. I'm like, this isn't the place. But then it occurred to me
You were just so drunk the whole time.
recently when I went to the website, that there's multiple locations. So this time I tried a different location. I tried the Flying Pig Uptown, and honestly, after I did the whole like Rotterdam part of the trip, and I landed in Amsterdam, and I take the tram uptown, and I turn the corner and I go up, and I go, this is the fucking spot.
it seems Rotterdam is
and
the
it was
place that you
honestly
come
such a cool moment because it was my first, one of my favorite experiences in my like early like adult life going to Amsterdam. We met hella girls and smoked weed in the park and had this amazing experience. And then as I walked up, it was like you see all those little things that I'm like, oh, there's the gateway to the park, and there's the fucking, and I'm like, oh, this is totally the spot. And then when I went, and I had this amazing time there. I met a really cool dude from South Africa who connected me with some really great people in Cape Town. So all of a sudden, you and I are talking about how we could get down to Cape Town and do something really fun. And I had a whole day off in Amsterdam, and I spent the entire day across the street from the hostel in Rondell Park, just drinking and smoking under a tree, like fully sitting like under a tree, like in the like armpit of the tree in the ground, like I'm fucking Christopher Robin or whatever.
Christopher Robin.
You know what I mean?
Winnie the Pooh.
And just like, I mean, if Christopher Robin was drinking a 6-pack of Heineken and
Or
smoking,
if you're like Bridget
Illy
Terabithia.
the Pooh.
it was fucking great.
Illy the Pooh.
So I had a vibe, man. I love that damn city.
That
And it was
sounds
hot. It was so hot there. It was the hottest it's ever been.
Yeah, it's been warm.
Because
here.
Amsterdam's usually very like hazy and like almost like what you think the UK is, where it's rainy and hazy. It's often like that. But it was so hot and summery and like vacationy. It was fucking great. So yeah, I had a great time. Shout out to the friends over there.
Sounds like
Have you ever been to the Netherlands or Amsterdam?
I have been to Amsterdam with my like dad when I was like 11. So,
Oh, so
I didn't do like cool shit there. I was
You've
like,
only kind of been.
I was not there like smoking ganj with my pups. I was out there like seeing the area, and it was on like some like distraction trip for like that was when my parents were getting divorced. They're like, okay, we're gonna send Maya.
trip.
We're gonna send Maya on a trip with the dad, and then my mom and the other sister would like get together, and like they were, But I remember it being very beautiful, and yeah, I'm excited.
You and Tynan should go.
Yes.
Where did you
100%.
guys go for your honeymoon again?
España.
We landed in Madrid, and we landed in Lisbon, Portugal, and then we rented a car. We rented a tiny little Fiat, and we drove from Lisbon to Madrid, and then we stayed there for a couple days, and then we drove from Madrid to like Friliana, and then Seville.
How long did you go for? Was it
and
a
then
month
we
or
were
was
like
it
3 weeks?
Oh, 3
yeah,
weeks.
I saved up
Wow.
all my vacation days.
How long are we gonna go when we go? Just
Depends.
for a week?
Yeah, when we were going to Cape Town, I was thinking for longer. But right now, it looks like we might go to Jamaica, 5-star vibes, kind of do a more
Okay.
all
So then we'd probably
inclusive.
just do like 7
It'll
days,
probably
right?
set-
Mad romantic
the
shit.
7 or 8 day option,
Which is
yeah.
cool because we travel so
right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
ultimately, if we do that, if we do Jamaica, it'll be to save some money because Cape Town was getting more and more expensive.
When's the honeymoon going to be after you guys get married?
Yeah, things have shifted a little bit. Initially, the plan was because I'm booked as a keynote speaker at a conference in Barcelona.
I saw that. That's fucking amazing.
Like 4 days, 5 days after our wedding. So we have a couple days to kind of relax and decompress, and then I hit the road. And I booked it for the least days I could ever go. It's like 4 days I'm gone for. And
Why not do it like
well, Jess was going to come with me to that, and then we were going to fly from there and do a honeymoon in South Africa.
or Greece. We talked
Or
about a few
Greece.
different
Those
things.
are the two places we really took serious. Yeah. But to make that happen, because it's expensive, we have to book it right now, and we simply don't have $3,000 to book all the flights right now.
Fuck yeah, who does?
So by the time we will have the money for that,
Yeah.
it'll be too late to book that particular trip. So now we're talking about doing a 5-star in Jamaica, which would be dope because
That'd be so nice.
we've never done a 5-star. I've never done my whole life. I've never been able to afford it, and I've never been able to afford to go into Jamaica.
Jamaica's not affordable though. 100%.
Not always though. I find sometimes of the year it's super expensive.
yeah,
to, like,
it can be.
I'm assuming
Compared
compared,
to, like,
Greece,
Cuba.
5-star like
Well, yeah,
Oh,
but for example, compared to the other places, which is Mexico, Cuba,
Mexico,
Dominican
Cuba
Republic.
are super cheap.
So Mexico, Cuba, Dominican
Yeah.
Republic, you're looking at $1,000 to $1,200 usually.
Yeah.
For Jamaica, you're usually
even
looking at
less than
$1,700 to $1,900.
it is. Yeah.
So right now,
you're
Jamaica in September is $1,200. If you're listening and you want to go on vacation, something to consider.
Yeah.
Because
Redtag.ca.
Do we end up looking like, is that like hurricane season or anything like that? Do they have hurricanes
I don't know.
in Jamaica?
I looked. I haven't
even?
seen anything
I
yet.
think they have intense climate. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's make sure that's not the
You guys
case.
are gonna be like in their hotel and making.
We're
all
good.
day.
I mean,
Well, no, I mean we can do that here. We still want to go out.
yeah.
take advantage of those amenities.
I think that Jamaica like generally has a good weather all year round, and then they have like rainy days, but the rain lasts for like 10 minutes.
a long time ago, when I lived in the UK, I went with a female friend to the what's it called, the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
To I can't remember what the island I went to was. It was really cool though. But we got a
Is that
deal.
Jamaica or?
No. It's basically what it is these little islands
like-
that are owned by Spain, but they're actually
It's beside
off the coast of
Tenerife, right?
Africa. Tenerife's the island that I went to.
Yeah, Tenerife.
So it's these 3 islands called the Canary Islands. Tenerife is one of them.
They're technically Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically Spain, but geographically it's Africa because it's like right off the coast of Africa. Beautiful,
Like
But-
Madagascar.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You can see Africa across the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And so we got this crazy deal. It was the basic equivalent of like $600, and I was like, "That's crazy." So I take us on this trip to Tenerife. When we get there, we're on the bus doing the trip into the resort from the airport. You know what I mean? And the tour guide goes, "This is our windy season." And because
Why did you sound like that?
because
Not
we're off
windy season.
because we're off the coast of Africa, we're getting all of the winds and the sands of the Sahara blowing across our island for the next 6 weeks. And so it's basically
That's why it was so
a
cheap.
constant sandstorm the entire time we were there.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember
your
that
eyes.
song?
Yeah, I remember. I listened to it for
sing
7
it for
straight
me.
days.
Sandstorm.
Sing about that.
Have you checked? You haven't checked ours yet? Like, is it possible there would be anything like that?
Yeah, possible.
And that's why ours is so cheap.
I did Google it, and then I forgot. Like I did one of those, like I opened a new tab, Googled it, and forgot to go check out the results. So I
let's
will.
check that out.
Classic Illy.
What are you looking over my shoulder at my Google tabs?
Just have a million tabs open, not paying a damn.
Bit of a pivot. Do you watch Last Man on Earth at all?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So did you see have you watched all of it or?
Okay, listen. So how many seasons are? It's like 3 seasons.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ty and I watched. Like we just like came across the show randomly. And what's the main guy's name in real life?
Oh my gosh.
Shit.
You hate
the main
him.
character in real life. Tandy in real life. What's his actual name?
Tandy. Yeah. Fucking. I don't
It's
know.
not Will Arnett. It's the guy that's like. Will.
Yeah.
I was just
know
gonna
what
say
you're
funny.
talking
I was
about.
gonna say Will Arnett as well. I get those guys confused all the time.
Shit.
I'm
Will,
gonna look it up because it's gonna. Will Forte.
Will
Okay,
Forte.
Will Forte. So we came across this show and like we're like, okay, whatever, we'll give it a shot because we always, as couples, are want to do want to
Yes,
find
of
like
course.
a good show to watch.
Gotta kill the
together and,
time.
like, cuddle up to and whatever. And so we were like, oh, Last Man on Earth. Okay, we'll try this. And we were like obsessed.
So it's funny. I watched it at
So
first, and
funny.
I thought it was kind of dumb at first. Me and Anthony watched it together, and we
Yes,
both
it's
weren't
so
into
dumb.
it.
It's
And
so
then
dumb. That's
then
the
it like the dumbness grows on you. Like I'm like, I love how consistent they are with the same jokes that are so bad. Like the fact that he like and like the way he like shaves half his head, and then he does it again the next season.
I
like it's like
legit
what?
hated Tandy. I hated him so much.
He's
I'm
the
like,
worst, but it's
this
the
guy
whole
is
point,
so
right?
annoying. But we watched all the seasons, and then the latest season we didn't watch all of it. We kind of like here and there watched a little bit, but
Well,
we were mad into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without spoiling too much, I won't do any big spoilers, but basically on the last episode of the last season, something happens that's like a really big deal. So if anyone hasn't heard of the show at all, they're a group of the people that are the last people on Earth. So there's only like 6 of them, and as far as they know, there's no one else that exists. And at the end of the last season, something like crazy happens. It's like a super cliffhanger. And all of a sudden, I watch this cliffhanger, the show gets canceled.
Yeah, I
It's
saw that on your
canceled.
Facebook. So, do you think it's because January Jones, like no one likes her? Do you think
Which one's that?
January
The one
Jones
with
is
the crazy boy,
the blonde one? What's her name?
or that girl?
She's from Mad Men initially, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I like her.
Yes, I like her as well.
They
But
also
no one likes her apparently. Like on the
yeah,
forums.
she does kind
On
of
the
suck.
Because I go on
do you
forums.
be on
'cause
the
I'm
forums?
a fucking nerd.
She sucks
You're
a
on the
little bit, but they
forums?
also
all the forums.
they don't
Wow.
focus on her.
I always
too
wondered who was on the
much.
forums.
You don't want to admit this to the world, but yes, I'm on the forums for literally every show that I watch. 'Cause
Wow. I'm not on the forums for any shows I watch. Do you get additional value out of the shows by foruming it up after?
to myself, I did for damn sure. I don't know. Like,
You don't know if I'll have the
my
same
insight
experience?
is any better than anyone else's, but the forums don't like January Jones. They don't. I think because she fucked over Tandy.
I feel like they show her like just enough though, because they
Can we edit
don't.
this out?
They don't.
Can we edit this part?
Forums don't like January Jones.
They don't focus on her too much, so I don't mind it. But anyways, that leads me to my question for you guys.
Yes.
If you were the last few people on Earth, so let's say there was a group of us, like let's say like 6 of us, do you? Okay, I have a couple questions. So first
I'm ready for this. I've been thinking about
First
this since I
question.
was 6.
Would you go the mansion route? But and this is directly from the show. But remember, if you go the mansion route, you don't have fields, you don't have fresh vegetables, you don't have anything. You have to get canned food from the store all the time. Let's say you're living in fucking LA mansion.
So you're saying 100% if there's a mansion, there's no way I could turn the backyard into a garden.
I suppose you could.
If
yeah.
I could turn
So if you wanted to get a mansion,
If I could turn backyard into a carrot garden. Okay, go.
so that's what you would do is you would try to go the middle route. So obviously the opposite was live on a farm with fresh
So
vegetables.
Here's
and
my
fruit.
answer for I would use my surroundings, because here's what I would think. Let's say right now where we are, without saying where we are, because I don't need all our super fans showing up at the door.
So many super fans.
So many. Now Maya knows where we live. That's already a problem.
I've been here.
So what I would do is this. Let's say right now while we're here, you check your phone and it's like, we have credible reason to believe, the world has ended around us while we've been doing this podcast.
Yes, there's nobody anywhere.
Yeah, there's nobody.
We've
there's,
looked.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
nobody anywhere.
The thing that I would do is I would use Google and whatever resources I had.
I don't think Google can exist because I think at this point of the world,
internet
and
providers
I'm
are
creating the
down.
scenario.
No, that's
so
not
don't
that's
create your
not
own
true
scenario.
actually, because as long as my phone turns on, even if the internet's down, I can still look at my phone and look at what's around us, because this is my city. I
you
have
can
an
still-
I have your city's usually at least my case it's an offline map.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So all I'm saying is I would start looking at my surrounding to be like, what is the place that has the most apocalypse value for me? You know what I mean? It might be a mansion, or maybe it's a certain kind of business that we realize is nearby and would have a lot of the things that we would need, like the Canadian Tire.
But that would only last so long too, because in the show, I think like years and years pass because they start running out of all their canned
Somehow in
food.
the show, they
100%.
always- somehow in the show they always find food, electricity. I know they have they explain they get the generators working, whatever, but they always find food, endless supplies.
No, they don't. They actually, I think the show does a really good job of addressing that because in the most recent season, all their food is expiring.
I
'Cause
see.
Canned food.
I haven't seen their most recent.
Canned
So, yeah.
food obviously lasts longer, but it only lasts about 4 years.
So long
It doesn't
term?
last that
But
long.
remember when they were in the building, the the weird like office building.
Yeah, that was one where they found
how
electricity.
The fuck are they
yeah,
out
yeah.
here? They're all like playing like
It was supposed to be like it was like a self-sustained building with
I was like bullshit.
that type
like,
of
they have that much fucking food for
But
like,
there would be one that existed out there. You know what I mean? Like if you were driving around with like a trailer, you'd be able to find like some building that has solar panels that's like self-sustaining.
There is
you know what I mean?
building like that for sure.
Yeah, there's a few out there.
So yeah, long term, to answer your question, I would eventually, let's say, immediately I would go to whatever spot had the resources I need so I could have access to those to get me through the immediate future. And then it would be about, what's a long-term home? We would start talking, what's the long-term home? It's me, you, and it's you and Tynan. We're living in this Canadian Tire for the first 2 days. And it's like, what's the long-term home? What are we going to do now? And you know what I think? It's more important than a big house. I would want a house on like a hill or something.
Yeah.
So I could see the city around me.
It'd be nice too to have like a
the mansion they had was beautiful in Malibu, right? I was like, yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, they had to leave they had to leave because there was a nuclear power plant that sorry, I'm kind of spoiling a little bit for anybody who hasn't seen it all.
Season 2, whatever.
Yeah, that's true. So basically,
caught up with your
we
own
couldn't.
damn
You'd
phone.
have to research where the nuclear power plants are because that is a thing. Apparently, if they run for 4 years,
we don't have tons of nuclear power plants here. I don't think.
okay.
Isn't there one out like in near Ajax?
I don't know. So that might be important for us to check.
Drove by the other day. We're like, he was like, "Oh, that's a nuclear."
And then my question, I guess this is mostly for Maya, is would you be concerned with repopulation or would you just live your life?
I'm concerned with repopulation, like right now. No, I don't know.
Babies popping.
So are we talking like me and Tynan are the last couple on Earth, and then we got to repopulate?
Yeah.
Well,
That might just be kind of
No,
fun.
you know what?
It doesn't work that
Let's
way,
take
though,
Tynan
right?
out of it. No offense, Tynan, but I think he's gonna die in this scenario because
He's gonna die like
because
he's very old.
in the show they're all
He actually
strangers.
dies. He actually dies right before the apocalypse
Yeah.
for unrelated reasons.
Yeah, for unrelated reasons.
my baby.
So we're all strangers. There's 6 of us. We're strangers. Is repopulation a concern, or do you just fucking live your life?
If there's only
That
6
is
of you,
actually such a good question.
well, no, it's not a good question actually because there's only
is
6
to
of you.
me.
I believe the repopulation isn't possible.
It fucking.
What do you mean? Yes, it is.
No, because of
Anthony,
inbreeding
think about
issues. I
it.
think
Apparently, inbreeding isn't that big of an issue.
somebody said that to us, but I don't know if I buy it.
Scientifically, inbreeding isn't that big of an issue.
I mean, I wouldn't
That's
love
Jess.
it.
Jess just has been saying that ever since she found out she has a really hot cousin.
no, I'm just saying that like there might be an issue with the first one, but then once their kids have sex with their kids, you're fine.
I'm
It's
gonna
done.
answer
you know what I
the
mean?
question that you just
Yes,
put forward,
yes.
and my answer, because I thought about it while you guys were talking in that 20 seconds. My answer is I am not concerned with repopulation, and I'm okay with just not repopulating.
Yeah, me too.
It's not fucking up to
do
me.
you know why?
I just survived
Why?
an apocalypse, dude.
Because
I'm not
I don't-
out here trying
yeah.
to like fix the world.
Exactly. I
just
don't want to
wanna
be
eat
pregnant
and
with no
sleep.
doctors.
No.
I might die during childbirth, or
am
I
not
could live
concerned.
like a queen. You know what I mean? I could
I'm
either
gonna live
die
like a
during
queen.
childbirth or live like a queen. You know
I would
what
probably
mean?
make you my wife.
Honestly,
I don't
for
know.
me, it would be about this. If the group got together and we did the math that we could save, if there's enough of us that we could save humankind, I think we would owe it to ourselves to.
To be honest, that's not important to me. Is that weird?
I don't
That
think
is
it would
a
be
little
important
bit
to me
weird.
We've
either.
had this conversation before, and this is a really like
don't think I would
That's
give a
so
shit.
weird.
This is a touchy subject
It
to
doesn't
bring
matter
up.
to
Would
you
you
if
care?
humans
No, yes.
exist.
I'm gonna put you on blast
It's all
for a
that
second.
matters.
Put 'em on
It's
blast,
all
put 'em
that
on blast,
matters.
put 'em on blast.
Blast me.
We talked about
It's all that matters. Blast me.
we talked about Handmaid's Tale. And
Oh
have
my
you?
God,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I'm going to put you on blast
Yeah,
for a
blast
second
me.
because we had the conversation, and obviously it was very deep and went on for a long time. So I'm going to kind of just skim the surface of it. But we came
Careful
to
your words,
kind of
'cause I
the-
said something, but I didn't
and
say
you can-
anything crazy.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. But
say anything too
basically,
crazy.
I said that if nobody could have children and the world was that close to ending, and the only solution was to force women to have sex, I think you just let the world end, and you disagreed.
Yes.
You disagreed? You
Hear me out.
What
I
the
I did not defend the show because I think the show does not operate with humaneness and quality of life as a priority. The show operates very much with a chauvinistic twist.
Right.
Yes, of course.
What I believe is this. If only 20% of people, or if it's just women, can have children, I do think those women should have to have children. Not with
Whoa.
Hear me out.
Okay, I'll hear you.
because we're talking about saving the species. We're not talking about just like generally.
No,
like,
this is a few years into it. We know that the species is going to die.
100% we know species dies or lives based on this. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Women, in this case, if 10% of women can have children and species depends on it, women should have to have children, but not with someone I choose or with me, with whoever they choose. You go choose your.
But what if they?
husband.
Well, what if they don't want to?
Don't want to
No,
have babies?
you're right, and that is one of the biggest travesties I can imagine.
Yeah.
Short of the end of humanity forever.
I don't know though. If you're taking the humanity out of it, then
I
fuck
think
humanity.
saying-
You know what I
saying
mean?
Find
It's not
the,
human anymore.
find-
Now we're
no, it's not-
apocalyptic. Like
you
trying to
honestly
survive.
think saying find the man of your dreams out of every man on the earth, find the man you want to marry and have a baby with him is worse than humans never existing again.
I suppose, but this is when
Find
it gets
any man on
this
the
is
earth
when it gets
and have a
foggy,
baby
though.
with him
So
is
what if-
worse than every human ever is dead for always.
What if within 4 years she hasn't found someone yet? Do you say, "Okay, your cutoff date is
gotta
now.
fuck
You got to
No,
fuck."
you,
you gotta
yes,
fuck
you
this
say
guy."
you have to find
Done.
one person on the
But do you know what I
earth
mean?
to have a baby with.
There's a lot of like questions that come up with that because
I
it's
hear
just
you.
like
And listen, in this case, the system's in place, and there's and case by case basis, someone goes, "Listen, I tried, I can't." Then you go, "Sure, we're not going to murder you."
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not suggesting we murder the people
you're
who
sounding
can't.
a little
But you
Handmaid's
suggest we
Tale
rape
now.
them?
No, but I am suggesting that maybe in this scenario where we've deemed the world,
we talk about the
all
real
these
shit
fucking-
on
We're
damaged
getting.
goods.
I think I started it with the whole
No,
sword
it's good.
scale
No, I'm
shit.
glad. I'm
Let me-
glad we
it's
got into
important- it's
this.
important
I'm
that I
glad that
finish
this
this.
is
Yes,
like my
of course,
episode.
of course.
This is what we're in the hard,
My whole
hard issues.
reputation depends on it.
No,
now.
yes, of course, finish.
In the case that this happens, all I'm saying is that the way that we've created laws to dictate things and have benefits or penalties to doing or not doing things,
Yes.
we would do the same thing. In that all of the benefits are if you are fertile in having a child.
So no jail, no rape,
I'm not
but
suggesting
penalties as
Yeah.
in like yes.
I don't
Okay.
co-sign any of the all I'm
you
saying
don't.
is
Of course you don't.
that if humans are going to die, and my sister even, who you know is my favorite human on the planet, says to me, she tells me a secret. She goes, "Anthony, I'm one of the fertile ones." I would say to her with all of the love in my heart, you have to have a child. Pick any man on the planet. Take 20 years.
And then
fall
what
in
would
love
you
with a
say?
man.
What would you say, that they just have to have one child, or they have to become a
mean, I
fucking
don't-
cow, a fucking baby spitting out machine?
Oh yeah, with like the things hooked up to their nipples.
Yeah, like-
I
You know what I
mean,
mean?
I don't know,
They're
because I think now
98%.
there's so many questions about
Yeah,
what
for
does
sure.
what is needed. I don't know.
I guess the argument that we had, I was just like, oh, let humanity die then, and you're just like, no, of course
that
not.
quickly though. That quickly, just in like
But think-
have
but
a child.
That must mean that we're meant to die.
No.
If all of a sudden
Meant
we're
to
not
die is
able
a thing.
to reproduce.
Meant to die is
Meant to
not
die
a
is a
thing.
thing.
No, it's
Meant to
not.
die is a
Meant to
thing.
die is not a thing. No,
Meant
because
to die
nothing
is
is
up
meant
to
to anything. Nothing is meant to anything.
So
Why is it up to
if a
women?
species
That's a
of
fact.
animal
That
all
is
of
a
a
fact.
sudden cannot breed anymore, they cannot
No, but
breed.
we
There's
can
no
breed.
plants available for
We
them
can
anymore.
breed.
No, I'm saying.
A percentage of us can't.
Yeah, so let's say the species of animal, same thing, but they
Yes.
just never meet up. They never, whatever. The species of animal, it just doesn't work out, and they die, which has happened with a lot of species.
That's actually never happened ever. That a species just stopped being able to make babies.
What about dinosaurs?
Well, how do
No,
they
they
go extinct? Because
die.
they're overpoached.
What about dinosaurs?
Yeah, they die for other reasons. They die for weather. They die because
But
of
aren't like
population.
pandas like aren't they like
No,
really
they didn't- I don't.
right?
I,
I'm just
I don't
really
believe pandas have just become sterile.
I thought that for some reason pandas are harder to breed than other
No,
animals,
they,
and that's
they're
one of the
reluctant
right.
to have
reasons.
sex with each other. They're very
Yeah,
reluctant
and that's
to
one of the
fuck each
reasons
other.
why they're
I'm
becoming
not
extinct.
a panda sexuality expert,
I'm out there,
but I
as
don't
a panda
believe that
sex
they're sterile. I don't believe
No,
that's
no,
the
no. I don't
problem.
think so either.
A la
I'm just
Handmaid's
saying
Tale. A Handmaid's Panda Tale. I don't believe is the case.
I would watch 100%.
a Handmaid's Tale. But no, continue.
I respect
that's-
that joke.
That's
as
all I
stupid
had
as it
on
is, I
that.
respect it.
That's all I had. I think that my answer to my own question is that I would not repop. I would.
That's how quickly.
I would not repop. I would just.
If
100%
they
would not
passed a
repop.
law saying
How about you repop the earth?
I will.
You fucking seahorse man, do it.
Yeah, you're not the one who has to push it out your
No,
vagina.
you're totally right.
Push a pot roast out of middle.
Do you know what the end of the world would look and feel like it would be way worse than having a child you only kind of wanted.
That's a good point as well.
Okay.
It would be so much worse.
So I'm
watching
mixing
your
up.
neighbors starve to death and murder each other and like the end of the world would be so much
Maybe your
worse than
neighbors are
having a
really
child.
But why would you're having that one child wouldn't solve that either if it was already at that point.
But in the
What if
case
that
of
child is, like, the
Handmaid's
second
Tale and these shows,
But I moved to Canada.
No, I
That's
know.
why Canada's great in that show because they
100%.
don't make you do that.
you're totally right. But I just meant when you asked me the question and I gave an answer. For me, that's where the line is. If you're saying kidnap these women, give them to rich, affluential men. Fuck no.
Yeah.
You're talking like lock them up. Fuck no. If you're talking about, hey, we need to have babies, so if you can have a baby, could you please have one? I might be on board with that policy.
Yes, of course, encouraging. I think that the best way to do it would be to give like perks to women who do. So let's say you have a kid.
So they're like wealthy.
You're set for life.
Every time you
You're
have
like
a baby,
queen.
so like the LeBron
Yeah.
Jameses and like the like celebrities
So
in
what
the
do
world,
I
like
get for
have
me
you
probably-
seen Mary? She's had 12 kids. She drives by in her Lambo.
Yeah,
Continuing the human
totally.
race. What do I get?
Is
Yeah.
that the Handmaid's Tale of like feminist like version?
that would actually
where it's
be
like all the
great.
women are driving Lambos and they're like just wearing like fur coats
I'm
and like
making babies.
like you're thinking of having another
That's how
baby.
it
You're like
should
I
be
do
now.
want to buy a jet.
Yeah, it's
so
like,
I
I
was
mean, you
thinking
get a
about-
government
present.
gives me $1 million every time I
baby-
have a baby.
Every baby they get twice as much. The
Like, you
first
guys-
baby they only give you 50,000.
Yeah.
But if you go to baby 10, you
Yeah.
get like 2.5 million.
That's the solution. Okay.
Have you guys heard
That's
of
the
push
solution.
presents? What a push present is?
No.
A push present is essentially like this, like fucking weird rich people do it. A push present is like a gift that you get once you push a baby out. Like your husband or boyfriend or whoever you had the kid with, gives you a push present, and that's what it's called. Like Kylie Jenner got her push present was a $150,000 like Lambo or something.
So what's the difference between that and because it's for her, not for the child?
It's her gift
because I was
going
gonna
to
say
out a baby, which I think is kind of weird and
That's
gross.
so
but, like,
weird.
I would also accept it.
Just the title is weird. It's
Push
not
present.
weird to me that a man gives his wife or partner
But no, they
a gift upon
they
her
put on
delivering a
Instagram,
baby.
Like this is the push
But the
present.
push
that I got
present is
her.
Oh
weird.
yeah, that's gross.
And she's like, oh yeah, I got this like really expensive
Listen,
car.
I'm a fan of alliteration, but I don't know that you need to always use it. Like push present, maybe we like they really went with
always
the alliteration.
ask, right?
Yeah.
It
If you're a
could've
fan of alliteration.
like a maternal gift. Oh, that sounds nice.
Pussy prize.
Pussy prize. I like pussy prize better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but her pussy's fucked up. Are you gonna have a baby?
Pulveride pussy prize.
Are you looking at me or
Ooh,
looking at
you
Jess?
are you gonna have a baby? Jess isn't having a baby. Are you gonna have a baby?
Do I want to have Tynan Tradick's baby?
Are you gonna have
Hell
Tynan
yeah.
Fallon Valen's baby?
Not
One
anytime
baby,
soon,
two
though.
baby, three baby,
I want to
four.
keep this whole deal going for a little.
1, 2. How many babies y'all gonna have?
Oh my god.
Ideal scenario. Not like, like later on, life will have
Oh my God.
life will take
I
its
don't
course.
know. I kind of want to have two.
Two?
And I want them to be very good friends. And I want
Okay.
them to like
Well,
protect and
the
love each
second and third parts are just weird. I mean, everyone I suppose feels that way.
I'm not out here trying to have like 8 babies. No.
Okay, so you want 2
Even though
babies.
his huge Irish family would love that, but no.
Do you worry about the state of your vagina post child?
I worry about the state of my vagina. Yes,
Baby, you can't just ask people about the state of their vagina.
You already asked her. If I
know
could ask
what?
this question.
I'm just kidding.
You know
could
what?
definitely
It grows
ask.
back.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, it's a lot of people
My
have to get surgery.
My sister told me it's never the same again. Her exact words. And honestly, I wish
think
she'd
mine will
never
bounce
told me
back.
that. It
She's got a
changed
lot
my
of life in
life.
her.
Not
Oh,
for
for
the
sure.
better.
Nikki, sorry, I shouldn't be naming people's names, but
Jen.
Jen, like she okay, I won't even say what it is now because she's told me things that I cannot unsee and that it's
Oh.
just
Yeah.
like that's
You know
so
what?
So if you're not worried about it, you should be. Because it's fucking scary.
Dude, I'm obviously worried about it, motherfucker. But I'm like, okay, it'll
It's
be
worth it, though.
right?
It's worth it.
And then I'm gonna do
It's
some, like,
worth it to change
Whatever, like,
the
weird,
shape
like,
of your
vaginal
body forever.
exercises.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I do not understand this baby thing.
Okay, you know what? Listen,
I don't get
I
it.
want to have Tragic's baby. I'm out here, like, we're gonna make a family.
do you ever wish that I felt that way about you, babe?
But it's not like anytime soon. With no, like, zero.
It's not that there's no value there because yeah, if you said like I really want like it's like yeah, I guess, but also I don't get it, and so
This is
you
not a
not
thing that's
getting it
happening
also
anytime
has some
soon.
value for me. You know what I mean? I think it's a trade off because I'd like the also you're like I don't know if it's worth it because everything you give up to have a baby for me
I don't
having
wanna-
a baby is worth something. There's value there,
But like,
I don't know it's worth
honestly,
everything
like,
you give
me
up.
and Tynan have this talk literally every time we get really drunk, and I'm like, listen, if I want to like one day maybe like be a mom, I do, sure. Not anytime.
How old are
soon.
you right now?
I'm 27. I turned 27 last
You're
week.
hella young, yeah.
I don't want to have a kid anytime soon, but when I do, I do.
But like 5 years. something like that.
Longer. I'm gonna say longer. I want to be like an old mom.
Old moms is where
and
it's at.
Tynan's gonna be like a very old dad.
I once worked for a
Maybe
man who had a
we'll
baby in
old
his
mom
40s.
it up because I could see myself changing my mind. Let's fucking old mom it up.
Let's drink some magnums of Pinot Gris and be
Yeah.
like, hey, Anthony and Tynan, go take care of our
I once worked for a man who had kids at like 45, and he said it was the smartest decision he ever made.
Yeah, because
I love that.
You're at the point where that's what you want to do. You want to stay at
financially
home.
stable. I want to be financially stable as hell.
You know what? I've said this before. There's only two
Emotionally
things.
stable.
I'm not now.
No, you're not. Look at you.
I want to be.
You literally found those glasses 20 minutes ago.
Oh no, I was born with these on.
Oh yeah, of course. Literally, they've grown with you. There's only two things that will make me have children. One, we have enough money to hire a third parent to live and work with us.
Literally is what I said to Tynan.
Or, and
That's
this is the
only
second
way.
one, I'm so tired, I don't want to go out anyways. So I'm down to have a kid.
What I said is,
Because I think I
never
can see
want
myself at like 45 being
Yeah.
like, I don't really want to go anywhere anyways.
Yeah.
So if we have a baby, that's one of the more interesting things we could do is have a kid here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
with how often he's touring, do you know how resentful I'd be if I was at home with a kid while
We're
he
getting
was
to a point where
partying in
And you know
Europe?
what?
or
Like
8
Jess
trips a
and
year.
Illy.
No, there's no
internationally.
way.
So
That's
it's
literally like when me and Tynan have this conversation, we always say, I always say, I do want to have a kid one day, but I want to be financially stable enough to the point where I am not like running for the fucking streetcar and with a baby or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not my life. It's
No.
never gonna be my life. Fuck
No.
no. Hell no.
I agree with you.
Point number 2, I never want to be resentful of like the life I'm losing and I'm not like
Totally.
able to be
Once
my
you've
own
got
person.
nothing to lose, once you're at home all the time anyways.
No,
why not?
I want
You
to
know
be
what I
my
mean?
own person for the rest of my damn life.
And especially in my case, and I know it is the same for you as well, but in my case, it's a little bit more exaggerated, I think, in that I've literally been pursuing the lifestyle that we have right now for 2 decades straight. This is the exact life I wanted for exactly
And you got it.
20 years, like more, 22 years I've been doing this. And so when we met each other and there was a minute we talked about having kids, and then there was a year that happened where I suddenly was on national television. I suddenly was getting all the phone calls answered that I had never answered in my life. And I was like, okay, maybe now I wouldn't want you to get pregnant.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. Did I ever tell you that we went to Cuba within 6 months of dating? We went on a
was
Cuba
wonderful.
trip, and
We rode
Anthony
horses in
said
the
to
ocean.
me, he looked me in my eyes late at night till we were drunk and hanging out
What
at the
did I say? I don't
hotel, and
remember
he
this at all.
said, if you ever want to have kids, like I'm ready. Just let me know when you're
Stop,
ready.
Anthony.
6 months in.
Yeah, 6 months in.
Weird out.
I know. I'm a weirdo.
That's cute.
Well, no, I knew we knew we loved each other. We
Yeah.
knew it was like, but it was just
Didn't you
like
guys know like that you were deeply in love? Like what? Like right away?
For me, it was probably more like a month in where I really
Yeah,
started to
that's
think
the
it
same as
was.
right away.
Yeah. But it
I
wasn't
love it.
it wasn't first sight for like I need and must have this person for the rest of my life. I definitely knew you were
The hottest chick you've ever seen in your life. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, she was so hot, I was certain she wasn't who she said she was. I was certain.
Right.
Because I met Jess on Tinder. Have we talked about that on the podcast?
yeah.
Tinder thing?
Because we talked
I
about how
would
we
say,
both
like,
had
I
something
would say,
with
like,
somebody
literally,
after, and we
Oh
just
my
told
Anthony
each other.
and Jess are fucking Tinder gold. Like
Yeah.
this is a love story that happened on Tinder. Like
Yeah,
we're
about
Tinder.
a
Should
month
get a
in,
shout
I
out, like,
really realized that there was something special
Yeah,
here.
Tinder should sponsor us because
you
I
found
would
this
fucking.
face on Tinder. Like
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
this whole thing.
And she worked for a costume store, so she had all these interesting pictures on her Tinder profile of her in like
I had like a Baroque gown.
You had like an Elizabethan gown on in one picture with like a fake mole.
I would swipe right.
And I was like, is this person a real thing? Like, who dresses like that?
She's an angel. She's
Well,
an
yeah,
angel.
I didn't go out in that dress.
No, I know. And when I met you, you were wearing a toque and you were super like cash and like sexy
Yeah.
as fuck, and it was wonderful.
I guess it worked out, right?
It worked out wonderfully. We're getting married in how many? Not long. 3.5 months, 4
3
months.
months, like 4 months. Yeah,
Wait,
3.5.
what?
Just
Yeah,
under 4 months. we're getting
September.
married.
It's coming up so
September
Oh, it's
fast.
8th.
8th.
Up. Okay, the wedding. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
September 8th, 2018.
Yeah, I'm
The
going.
merger is happening.
We're all doing. Us and Tanya are doing the like in your guys like suite, right?
Yeah, I think so. We have
Yeah.
a hot tub.
Yeah, we booked a whole thing.
So excited.
Yeah, our Airbnb.
So happy for y'all.
It's really crazy to plan a day. We've been planning this day for so long, and Jess has done easily 90% of it. I wouldn't even say like
She's
80%,
very good at planning.
90% of it.
Yeah, I
She's
like
been
doing stuff like
building stuff, planning stuff. Occasionally, we have a little debate about one element. The photo
there's a
booth was the
theme.
recent one.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about
Is
the
that
wedding
okay?
theme.
Yeah.
You're not like weird. Okay.
No, it's not secret.
There's a theme, right? Like the theme is
Yeah.
Californian.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So it's California theme. There's like a box behind you there that's like some palm trees.
Yep.
I love it.
Our conflict that we've come into a bunch recently is whether or not cactuses should be included in California theme.
They should.
Yes, I know.
Do you think when someone sees a cactus, they think California?
I do. I think like, or
Because I think you
Mojave
think like
Desert.
Texas, Arizona.
Yeah.
Which
okay,
is also
I think-
not that far.
I think
No, it isn't that far.
yeah.
But I just think like
It would fit with the whole
culturally.
theme.
If you were to download here, you ready for this?
Yes.
You were to download a California emoji pack. There's no cactus in the emoji pack.
I would disagree. I think it would be in there.
I think that.
So what else would it have? Palm tree, palm tree, palm tree, palm tree? No, it would have
no,
palm
it'd be
tree.
palm tree,
Sun.
Coconut, I guess.
Or you mean pineapple, you mean?
But a
Pineapple.
Pineapple
Coconut, too.
connotes
Sun,
like hot weather
sunglasses,
and a cactus.
and cactus.
Hollywood sign,
And cactus.
Cactus, yes.
line of cocaine.
Yes.
Several.
We should just like sprinkle white all over the table.
And then
Like your
you're like this.
signature cocktail, just like a rimmed glass of cocaine.
Just like crushed in cocaine.
I don't think the parents would approve, but
But yeah, California theme wedding.
I think
Yeah.
that is an amazing theme, and your wedding is going to be beautiful.
Neon signs. We're renting cool neon signs.
It's so sick.
The other thing too with the cactus thing is, have you noticed like how in cactus stuff is right now? Palm tree stuff is actually kind of hard to find. Like, for example,
on, like,
I
super
found like
nails.
these little cactus like candles or whatever. Those don't. There's not like palm tree candles that I've seen at like
Yeah,
Pier
you're right.
1. You know what I mean? Like
The pineapple
it's
is
a
very in
lot
right
of
now.
cactus stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna bring this for sure.
You got to go to Pier 2 or 3 at least.
Pier 2 or 3.
to get the good shit.
Are
I'll
you
send the
joking?
address.
Or is I know Pier 1's a thing.
It's a
but
tiered
is Pier-
system. You didn't know. You didn't
Okay,
know.
now I
that-
feel stupid. Fuck you.
You didn't know about the pier
asking.
tier?
The Pier tier.
Okay.
I'm from Ottawa,
I'll
I
send
know
you a
about
whole
the
infographic.
tier.
Pier 1 is for the basic
Can you
bitches.
send me like a flow chart of some sort, please? Thank you. A flow chart would be preferable. Thanks.
Put rappers on a flow chart. Bars.
Do you and Tina never want to get a house? You guys are apartmenting it up right now.
You know what? We talked about this as well. Sorry.
Would you consider buying a llama or a
what
pig?
we want to do is we want to keep renting our home space and then we want to buy a piece of land, a big piece of land, and he's going to build a cottage for us on the
to
piece of
start
land.
like a little
Oh,
cult.
wow.
Yes, and then we will start our cult. No, we want to. Yeah, we want to like probably move around.
Where?
A bunch.
Where would you want?
And then we would want to buy a piece of land. We don't know. Maybe like we're both from Ottawa, so like
Don't do it.
maybe around like or I don't know wherever. But
Don't go to Ottawa.
no, I'm not gonna move to Ottawa, dude. I'm just like saying we want to get like a cottage space, like a piece of land that we build a cottage on, and that's like our like go to on the weekends. And then we would just live in like Toronto or wherever. Yeah, but no, I don't think I want to buy a house in Toronto, like buy one because like that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's
I think
going
I'd
up
rather
constantly,
buy
right?
like a beautiful piece of like land on an island or like with water or and Tynan can build our little like love cottage and that's where we
Aw.
can like
I like the idea of y'all getting a cottage out there. That's cool. You just can't get a house out there. I'll never see you again if you guys get old and get a house in the woods up in Ottawa.
dude. No, I'm not.
It'll be the story. Remember Tynan? He was so cool.
No, I
this
want to
also
do
she's
like a
talking
weekend
about
thing.
far in the future, so this might be at the point where none of us hang out with each other
What are
anymore.
you talking about? I don't think you
hope
understand the
not.
future we're talking about right now.
I know.
I'm out here trying to hang out with you guys for life.
That's the only good part about getting old.
Yeah.
Because once you get old,
You're old. Me and you can like hang out and bitch about the boys while
yeah,
they're like
culture moves on and doesn't care
gathering
about
lumber
you
or
anymore.
whatever married
You'll
men do.
stop
I don't
being
know.
hot, and Instagram people will stop liking your shit, and I'll be
That's
old,
never-
and nobody
Jess will
will
never
want to
not
hear
be
me
hot.
rap anymore, and people will never listen to this podcast
we'll
because
still
they'll
have
be
great
younger,
friends.
cooler podcasts.
We'll always have this podcast,
And
guys.
at
We'll always
that
have this
point,
podcast.
that's what the only thing that matters then is we need to hang out with the cool motherfuckers we gathered in all those years of doing our cool shit.
So you tell her not to move to Ottawa, but our plan is to like move to Niagara, which I know is slightly
30 minutes
closer.
outside the city.
30
Okay, I'd
minutes,
rather
babe.
move
Okay.
to Ottawa.
40 minutes.
I
outside
love
the city.
how me and Anthony, we both do this thing where we like intensely over or under exaggerate to make our points, because you know that Niagara's an hour and a half
in
minimum.
traffic, not minimum, in traffic.
If you're speeding, 1 hour. if you're driving normal, it's an hour and a half.
Sweet little thing in Niagara Falls.
Baby, I used to live
commute
in Niagara
40
Falls.
minutes.
Oh, she just babied you. Like that's how you
She
know
lived
what's up.
at the
Baby.
Glen whatever exit near. There's the mall there.
Yeah.
So from
Also,
Toronto to that exit was 40 minutes.
also St. Catharines, she was right.
Yeah, St.
So,
Catharines.
so I lived in Welland, which is a little bit further.
Yeah.
So that does make sense.
and
'cause
if you're talking
my
east side
drive
of
would
Toronto,
be-
where we live now. Yeah, you're right.
the wedding
East side
was in
Toronto to
Welland,
Welland.
right?
The wedding's in Welland, yes.
Yeah, where we're getting married is not the place I used to go get laid in St. Catharines. It's a
No.
different place.
But it's adorable. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. It's gonna be the fucking most beautiful thing. It's gonna be great.
Well, that's just some shit you
I
said,
can't wait
but
to cry and embarrass the fuck out of you guys.
We'll be crying, I'm sure, a lot.
I'm not
so.
going to cry at all.
No?
No.
I honestly can't even predict whether I will or not because I'm a crier. Like, I cry a lot. But
I think in the moment you'll be just.
in the moment, if my nerves are
nervous.
really bad, I won't cry, I don't think.
I cried a bunch at our wedding, but I was also like that was just like reactionary. I think like a physical reaction to like emotions. But
Yeah.
I was just so incredibly nervous like the whole time because I'm like a very awkward person in general, and I was just so nervous. Like when I watched a video that you sent of us doing our vows, and I watched myself, I was cringing. Like, oh my god, I'm so
Oh, really? No,
fucking
it was
awkward.
adorable.
That was a great
I'm just
wedding.
like like and then crying like so.
But you're not supposed to be perfectly in control in that moment.
No, I
right?
wasn't. I wish I was
You're
a little
having
bit
an
more,
emotional
but
day.
I was very emotional and like very nervous, but it was, also the best of my life.
That's cool. Was it
I
actually
married
the
your
best?
big
Your
old
vows,
weirdo.
your vows were great. Like your vows are the only vows that I actually remember of anybody. It's like I also edited it, so I guess that helps too.
Tanyans were way better.
But
than
I
crushed it. It's true,
remember
he
no, I
crushed
remember
it.
specifically two things that each one of you said. The one that you said that and it sounded so sincere when you were just like, I think I love you more than anyone has ever loved like another human being. And I know everybody says that, but it's true. And I was like,
That's what-
that was
yeah.
the part where like I started like bawling.
I was like,
and
that-
then
yeah,
Tynan's was when he said, like he was talking about all the things that he does or whatever. And he's like, and when I like hug you way too hard or whatever. And like that one like made me bawl just because it's like so like
it made me
Tynan,
bawl too.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it made me bawl too.
Yeah.
Those-
He
yeah,
hugs
right,
me too
like,
hard, to be
Yeah.
honest with
Oh
you.
yeah. He's such a
His
hard
vows,
hugger.
everyone was like in tears, like pissing.
Oh yeah.
and then
And the fact that he couldn't get through them was like amazing.
it was
like
very,
it just like was like.
And then I remember
It was so
he had
cute.
written down his vows in this notebook that he keeps, like his like he writes like lyrics in them and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he has this notebook that he keeps, and he had written his vows out in them. And I obviously had not seen them before, but after like the ceremony, the notebook was inside like my mom's house where it was held, and my like Indian auntie and all her friends found it, and they all gathered round and like read it aloud. And he like saw them doing this and was like, oh my god, what the fuck, I'm so nervous. And they were all like, they all came up to him crying, like all my Indian aunties, and we're just like, darn it, you're the best.
Oh,
Like, it was a very
So
sweet
cute.
moment. He was so embarrassed, but like I was very proud of him.
nice.
that is
Very nice wedding. Ours won't be nearly that nice.
Yes, it will.
I still haven't written my vows
It's gonna
yet.
be
I
very
have to.
nice. I
Oh,
just feel like it was hard.
I
yours
think
was hard
he
to live
wrote
up to.
his the day or two before, and I wrote
Yeah.
mine the day of.
My,
I might
my
wait
vows
until,
are
like,
going to
the
be
month
Liddy. Don't get me
before.
twisted. This is the shit I do
They
for a
will
living.
just come to you.
No,
Let me give you unsolicited what
I'm going to write it down. I just at some point we need to talk about structure.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the thing where like apparently it's good to both give your vows to like a friend, so
Oh,
that
100%.
they can read them
We
and
both
tell
did
you,
that, yeah.
tell you whether
be honest,
one's
This out,
longer than the other,
We'll
or
do that
whether
as well.
one's funnier
but
than
even
the
before
other.
I get started, I want you to tell me: are you saying like I vow to, or are you saying
No,
I
don't think she would.
I
do
think
that.
I'll have a little bit in there, like blah, blah, blah. I'll be like mostly like this is why I love you type thing.
Yes.
But then I think also at
crying
the
already,
end
like,
I'll be
I'm already
like
crying.
Yes.
I'll always try to blah blah and I
Yes.
promise to blah blah.
Okay.
So like a little more
So if it's,
loose.
this is why I love to.
But-
this is why I love you, and I promise to. Then that's
Yeah.
all I would need to know.
Yes,
to then
that's
go
what I think it should
structurally.
be,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But they don't, in any way, shape, or form, they do not have to be the same amount of time. Or,
No,
like,
no, no.
format.
Yeah,
Whatever. It's
no,
your
of
wedding.
course.
Like,
No.
it's your day. Do whatever you want. If you want to have, I mean, you won't know.
Because
but, like,
if we give
yours
them
is
both
longer,
to Katie
his is
or
longer.
somebody,
Yeah.
and she says Anthony's is a bit longer, I don't think you have to rewrite yours.
My only problem would be with if like one was like really lighthearted and funny, and the other one like was like completely serious and not funny at all. That would be a little weird because it would be like, remember
You're
the
not
time?
marrying a guy that you just met. Like, this is like your love of your life. Like, I think the general gist will be the same.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I
but
think
you guys-
you and I
I
You guys
think we'll
have
be
the
on
do a
same,
lot
like,
of things together. I'm
yes,
sure it'll be fine.
I think
Yeah.
it'll be just fine. Like,
I think we'll be on the same page. but you know what I
It'll
mean.
be
It's kind of nice to
beautiful.
have somebody like
I am gonna have sound effects.
Pyrotechnics.
Ooga.
Yeah, mostly clown bass.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah. Like all those types of sounds.
I can't wait.
I will hand out red clown noses directly before the vows. I will
Interesting.
also be doing a costume change before and after.
Into a furry costume.
Furry costume. That's what Jess has requested specifically.
Okay, but I have one question. Now is now a good time to bring this up?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you prefer like squirrel
Fox.
or like
Come on, be a man.
fox,
Be a fox.
or like puppy dog?
I think fox.
Or
Something's like sexy and like
wait,
suave
guys.
about a
You
fox.
guys want to get
you know?
ethnic? You guys want to get a little bit ethnic though?
Yeah.
You want to get a little bit ethnic?
Yes.
Panda.
Ooh.
Panda.
Panda's
Sexy.
like big fat guy kind of though. That's what I think
But
of
so
when I think
cute.
panda. Yeah, cute but not
love
sexy.
Panda. I think pandas are sexy. That's just me though. I'm weird.
So if you were gonna fuck a furry,
A little slutty panda.
why are we getting back to why are we
Ling ling.
slutty?
Ling ling, the slutty panda.
I don't know if that's racist. I don't know. I don't know how
I
to
don't
react.
know either.
But
I don't
slutty
know.
panda is really funny. If you were to fuck a furry, and I'm sorry to bring it back here, what's your
I'm not
animal of preference? Are you going fox?
Are you asking me now?
Yeah, I'm asking both of you.
Oh, if
I feel like wolf or fox.
Wolf.
Oh,
Wolf, yeah,
that's
like a
so
fucking,
native
like-
of you.
or a
Oh, yeah,
lion.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
very
a lion.
native.
so native.
Maybe a panther,
For real, think about this for a second. You're at like a furry like club.
which I often am. Yes.
Who let the dogs out?
Wolves.
That's
Wolves,
too
wolves,
easy.
wolves.
Elvine, come on.
And I thought that was pretty fucking good. What you going for? Which furry are you going for?
She said the wolf, and I'm like, I can't stop thinking about a sexy wolf now.
Yeah, well, wolves are sexy though, because like
I've had a lot
bears,
of whiskey, I don't know,
bears
now
are
I'm out
like,
here, like, trying to-
powerful.
If
Someone
someone's,
hit
a,
by
if someone's a
sexy wolf
bear,
right
they're gonna do bad things to you. You don't want a bear.
yeah, it's just like to
Like,
like
they might like, you know.
But wolves are sneaky. What if? How do you? Oh, wolves
to
are
me, like,
sneaky.
okay, this is what I picture.
Here's what I here's
So,
what I have
like,
to
in
say.
a bear costume
Yeah, go.
is Seth Rogen. You know what I mean? In
a
a
bear in
wolf
a bear
costume is like George Clooney. Do you
Or
know
like
what I mean?
James
like,
Spader.
or like James Spader, young James Spader.
Wait, okay.
Old
You gotta-
James
hold
Spader.
on.
He's a wolf in the movie
Okay.
Wolf with Jack
I know,
Nicholson.
I know.
Guys, can we just talk about the fact that your guys' mutual hot guys, James?
It's because we were just talking
No,
about
he's not a
him
hot
earlier.
guy. He's a. I just said wolves are creepy. James
You
Spader.
guys just said you both would have fucked
No,
James
he's
Spader.
so
No,
You said-
hot.
did. I'll tell you one
He's
thing.
so
Jess
hot.
told me earlier that James Spader was sexy, and
he
I
is hot.
smelled her vagina make the smell it makes when she's excited. And so what I said is that James Spader is very googly eyed, and she said no, he's sexy. So we Google imaged young James Spader.
Googly eyed.
Oh,
Googled.
can I?
We Googled.
Can I look
Google
at it?
young James Spader, and let me tell you one
Oh my
thing.
god.
He's sexy.
My heart.
I didn't know.
Be
My
still.
last Google search is celebrity before and after plastic surgery.
He kind of looks like a smart, nerdy Dolph Lundgren.
And I
for
usually
any
don't
old
like
people who
blonde
know who that
guys.
is.
I like my guys that kind of look like a male version of me a little bit. You know what I mean?
Damn, young James Spader's hot.
Yeah,
I
young James
know.
Spader's hot.
Can we
For a blonde
And
guy.
there's and you know the best part is he
No,
knew
they
it.
can't. They can
and
look
there's
it
a bunch of photo shoots where he has like his shirt half done unopened at like a beach, and there's some really great pictures.
Look at that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's a very handsome young man.
Yeah,
call him on the
he's
side?
definitely gonna like tell you to stay late after work and then like consensually like fuck you on his desk. You know what I mean? Like
Wow, you thought about this.
There's if you Google image James Spader, there's literally a picture of him like
eating ass. Yeah,
and,
there's just like an
and
ass.
like coming up.
and just like his eyes are
For
here.
what movie?
We don't know.
I don't know.
But we definitely believe he's in a movie where he eats ass.
We'll
we
leave it
definitely
up to the
believe
viewers
that's
to find
possible.
that out.
If anybody knows which movie James
Yeah,
Spader
feel
eats
free to
ass in,
tweet us or
Good topic
DM
for
us
the next
on Instagram or
podcast.
email us
Damaged Goods Pod,
on all
Or they
social
can,
media.
Inquiring Minds.
Email the Gmail account if they can find out like right away, or like
Yes.
DM you guys.
What movie
Whoever,
does James Spader
whoever finds
eat
it
ass
first
in?
gets like a free cookie.
Yes.
I don't know how to I don't know how to distribute that cookie.
We'll figure it out.
What if someone from Nigeria wins and then we have to send a cookie to Nigeria? That sounds like that's complicated.
I can figure it out.
Just along with your credit card information and
Along with your,
What do we have for time? Do we still have lots of time?
I have no idea. We never check times anymore.
Can you
Let me
take
check.
a look?
it's 10:58.
Oh, so we've still got lots of time, right?
Wait.
We're at 1 minute and 40.
Didn't we start at
1
1
hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, okay. So we're
This is
pretty
so
much
fun.
nearing
I
the
wanna
end.
do this
Yeah,
all
we can
night.
do another 20 minutes though.
Let me talk about the thing. I've been actually wanting to bring this up in a
kinda
few
have to pee.
podcasts. Do you have to pee?
Go pee.
Is it okay?
Yeah, go pee. Jess and I will talk while you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, just go
Yeah.
join us in
Okay,
progress.
it's gonna be really fast.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, viewers.
No, but someone's done this before. Go.
Well, this is something that you and I talk about all the time, so I kind of want to talk about it with another person.
No, that's fine. But have we talked about it on the podcast? Because she'll join us and give us her take.
Yeah, we haven't yet.
And what's really fun, the viewers don't know this, is the bathroom is right behind me through this wall.
So you might be
she's
able to
actually
hear her.
she might be able to hear her, but she can definitely hear us. So
did you have any other topics that we haven't hit yet?
I mean, I did write a bunch of things down. Do you want to talk about the thing you want to talk about?
I'd rather wait till she gets back to start mine.
Well, give me a second. I'm not ready.
No, yeah, it's okay. In the beginning of the podcast, I talked about how there wasn't much that you and I wouldn't talk about.
Here, I do want to talk about something.
Okay, go ahead.
I just think it's interesting, and we don't talk on this subject much because it's not really our, I don't want to say brand, but it's not even our favorite thing to talk about. But we do nerd out on it a little bit when it does come up and when one of us reads an article or whatever. And I was so interested in, and it's really stuck with me ever since I read it, about the whole like dinosaur feather thing. So they made they made a discovery where they found a dinosaur tail, a small dinosaur from the metabolic period. Is
that actually the right?
I just fucking made that up.
Oh, okay.
And it was fucking frozen in amber, a la Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. And what's really interesting is the tail was completely covered in feathers, and it was all maintained for fucking however many years that is, in this amber.
Jurassic Park was totally possible.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Did you hear about this, like the feathery tail?
Yeah, so they found a tail covered in feathers.
I can hear you guys through the bathroom.
And it said, in particular, they're very specific kinds of feathers. They're not the kinds of feathers you see on birds today. They're these other structures, and it tells them so much about the part, like the soft tissue part of these creatures that they always just had to soft tissue. The soft tissue of these creatures that they have always theorized. Because whenever you read about dinosaurs, and if you love dinosaurs, it always says, this is what they look like. This is it. But we know very little about the soft tissue because that doesn't preserve over time. And that's just a big part of it. If you can't hear it, don't worry. It's not really a big deal.
Okay, cool.
I'm not sure why that would be, but we could sort that out later.
Okay.
But now, for the first time in history, we have actual, like, visible evidence of things. And I was saying to you, it's so big that when they start making the next textbooks and the next movies and the next documentary series, they have to start changing how they even show dinosaurs. Because it went from even for us as kids, it said, we believe that many of them had feathers, but they still don't show them with feathers when they show them.
Yeah.
They still show them as lizard
What
things.
about the pterodactyl?
Yeah. It doesn't even have
do they
feathers,
not show
though.
them
I believe they all have feathers.
feathers?
Or they believe that most of them had feathers.
So that is what this they're suggesting.
Well, they already believed
there it is.
that most of them had feathers.
More like a
This just
6-foot
in.
turkey.
This just in. Maya can hear herself again.
Yes, I can hear. Yeah.
Because I read that a million times as a kid when you get that first like dinosaur book.
Yeah, of
where
course.
it's like,
And it's in Jurassic Park.
yeah,
Sexy
yeah,
dinosaur.
exactly. But now the fact that they find one and it's just covered in feathers, it's like, okay,
That was a
no
huge
problem. But next time y'all show me a drawing, y'all better show me feathers.
So it doesn't suggest that there was just a breed of dinosaur that has feathers. It's more so that most
I think
of them
they
had
already
feathers.
theorized it was many breeds.
That a lot of them had feathers.
Yeah, I don't think all of them. Maybe a brontosaurus didn't,
Well,
right?
I
That's
mean,
the big
aren't
long neck
feathers
ones.
just part
Maybe
of
a triceratops
like, animal
didn't.
with flight? Like,
So does that take away the reptilian thing completely? Because you always see them as like almost like giant lizards. You know what I mean?
But they say even in Jurassic Park that they're actually ancestors of birds.
So they're not really lizardy at all.
I think
their skin could be a completely different texture.
I think, and I could be wrong, but my take has always been that they're on the precipice of saying, no, these things had fucking feathers. And even, I remember reading books that said, we show them in browns and greens and grays, but we don't know that's the color they were. There's literally no way
How
to
is there
know
any way
what
to
color
know?
they were.
Exactly.
So this is a made up decision based on the
their
average
bones
color of
can't
other
depict, like,
animals.
the
You know what I
color.
mean?
Kind
But yeah, they could have been bright colors for some reason that we haven't factored in.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
You know what
but
I mean?
I assume that like through evolution they would blend into their environment. So
But that's what's interesting.
Shades of brown and
this
green.
particular tail is auburn color on the top and white below, kind of like a fox. And that I think they never expected, that it had fox coloring on the feathers. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So it's just like,
Or,
now
like,
we know.
You know, for ones that had flight, there would be a reflection of the water. So maybe like
Yeah, I'm sure they weren't all that color, but it's just
Yeah.
interesting that the first one we found was. So it's like, it's one of those things. Is it the only one that was that color, or the fact that we found 1 for 1 were many of them that color?
The thing that made me mad to read in that same article too, or in like at least articles talking about that one, this new discovery, is that they would have way more information about dinosaurs if it weren't for the private like amber trade, like making jewelry, making whatever.
Motherfuckers.
No, seriously, because it's like by the time that somebody finds it, the highest bidder gets that
Yeah,
like
by the time
mine
somebody
or
from
whatever
the
it is,
University
you know what I
of-
mean? Like,
So there's
Wherever
some like
finds it.
scientists out there with all the info on these dinos that we're trying to find out.
yeah, scientists have some dino funding, but this fucking millionaire
Jeff
who wants
Goldblum's out
all
there
the
with all the
amber, yeah, you know this.
Where's Jeff Goldblum when you need him?
He's out there like smashing pussy. I don't know. Is that gross to say?
That's probably what he's doing.
That's what he would call it.
I mean,
That's
if we're
what he
asking
would call
what
it.
Jeff Goldblum's doing, not his character, then yes, that's what he's doing.
I'm gonna meet him.
I like that you guys talked about your
next month.
Okay, wait, what?
He's at Fan Expo. I'm gonna buy the VIP
yeah.
package.
I want to come to Fan Expo.
Yeah, I'd come.
I worked at Fan Expo one year and I did cosplay as a fucking Lady Van Helsing.
Let me just say this.
nice.
If you go and for some reason, like while you're there, you get invited to some kind of like Comic-Con after party, and then you bump into Jeff again and you're having drinks with him,
Oh,
and
first name
something
basis now.
accidentally happened and you're like, I didn't plan on it,
Did she get a hall pass?
but like, I wouldn't be that mad.
What?
I mean, it's
okay, what?
Jeff
Wait.
If you were like, I planned it, I went and got a condom from like
What
the
if?
7-Eleven.
Oh, so we are talking sex because that was my
Yeah.
next question.
She goes
is,
and
what
gets
are
a
we talking?
I think, because it's Jeff Goldblum, the guy you've been talking about since we got together. And by the way, of course I'd be mad. 100% I'd be mad. But I think because it's literally the celebrity you talk about the most.
I like
Yeah.
how you guys talked about that on Tragic's episode as well. Like
Yeah.
how Jeff Goldblum, like I find him really.
And yes,
Oh yeah,
I would be
totally.
upset. Even
That's
the
funny
time
that he's came up more than
the
once.
time that I was on tour and you were drunk and suggested you might go home with a woman. I was even upset about about that.
Easy. It's funny how we talked at the beginning of the episode that stuff that I wouldn't want to talk about. That's
Yeah.
kind of one of them.
Well, nothing
because
happened,
No,
but-
in case my family listens.
Nothing
to
happened.
This.
You just sent me a
You're,
text
like,
that left
outing
it
me.
open.
Just his family
No,
is look-
nothing
watching
happened. You just
this,
sent a text that left it
full-on
open.
joke go.
That something might have happened, and I wasn't sure.
Yes.
And then you turned your phone off that night.
Yes.
I mean,
But
gotta
anyways.
keep them on their toes, right?
That's right.
That's right.
They're not going to get this far into the episode anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's no way your mom makes it past all the other stuff.
No.
But so
She's
yes,
not going to make it past the
I
furry
would
sex.
be jealous. I'm just saying, if you're like, I was at that party that I told you I was at, and he made a move, and I for about 5 minutes, I don't know what I was thinking. I could see myself being like, she talks about him a lot. Like,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
possible
what
that-
would be yours like that? Like Ashley Martell? Like what would be your like girl?
for real? Okay,
that?
no. So
She's an Instagram. Girl.
Ashley Martell is probably the hottest girl on
Sounds
Instagram.
boring as hell.
No, she is really cool.
She's very cool
actually.
as well.
I'd fuck her.
I don't know. I can't think of one.
Maybe Eva Mendes.
Tina's
Eva
go-to hot
Mendes.
girl is,
Eva
like,
Mendes is
Tara
one of my
Reid,
top
'cause he's
5
so-
for sure.
What's the other girl? You actually did really like the princess now. Fucking
Meghan Markle.
yeah, he
Is
did
that
really
what we're
like
saying?
her.
Yeah, she's not my. Yeah, she's just undeniably beautiful, but she's
There's
not
somebody
like the one I
else
would-
who looks similar to her.
But
though,
for
that
example,
you
like
love.
I met Kaylani briefly. If that had
yeah,
gone,
you
if
were
that had gone a
talking-
different way, and she had kissed me, for sure, my instinct would have been to kiss back, even as much as I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would have felt horrible, and my life would have collapsed. But it's like,
my life would have.
but in
We're
that
out
moment,
here.
I would
she's
forgive
just
you.
she's such
if you
a
kiss
big
Kaylani,
personality.
I would fucking probably brag about that to my friends.
She's just
Like,
such a
it
big,
literally would
dominating
not.
personality. I
Fuck
could just
Kaylani.
see.
If he fucked her, that's a different
like,
thing.
no, fuck you.
If he
That's
fucked
what I
her,
mean.
that's different.
The minute it starts seeming like I'm like going like, yeah, now I'm gonna get some, the energy changes a little bit. That's
Yeah.
why I kind of in the description I was like, I don't know what happened for a few minutes. I lost myself in it. It's like that's different
Whoa.
than like
But,
I went home with them.
we always
and-
talk about this too, because like when you get to the point where you took out a condom and fucked someone, it's a little different than like
Yeah, 'cause
losing
now this
your
is
way.
calculated, like,
because
oh.
100%, if Jeff Goldblum asked me to come just hang out in his
I'd be like,
hotel,
all right, now we're
I
having
would
sex.
I would put my blinders up and be like, maybe he just wants to hang out, and this is
And
going
if
to be
not,
a
I'll
cool
control the
story.
situation.
Jeff Goldblum does not want to
I
hang
would
out with you.
100% go.
That's like Nicolas Cage. You're like, hey, Jess, you want to just hang out with you? It's like, no.
And if he got, and if
I'm
he
just
got,
trying to fuck you.
and as much as you love me, if he got really like charming and like he's making a move, I could see you getting caught up in like, whoa, Jeff Goldblum's making a move on me right now.
Yeah. But also to me, because you know it's just going to be the story, right? Because he's not going to want to marry me. It's just going to be the story that
if you
one
did, I'm
time you
fucked.
did that. Yeah, if you did it, if you did your fuck. But,
Jess and
Jess Goldblum.
and our podcast together.
Nobody. Jess Goldblum. No one.
Jess Goldblum.
Okay, yes, that was good.
I totally lost my train of thought with fucking Jess Goldblum.
You say he's not going to want to marry you.
Oh, right. So it's really just for the story. And to me, having the story about him trying to fuck me is just as good as him fucking me.
And
so I would stop
the best
him.
part of that story
I'd
would
be
be you
like, I
saying
can't,
no.
I have
because
a
if you went
husband,
too
like, I
far,
can't.
you know that now you have a whole explanation to me.
Yeah. But if he tried to, we would love that. Like,
Yeah.
that would be a great
You could be
story.
the guy that
you know what I
brought
mean?
I would be mildly jealous, hugely entertained.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
That should be the name of your next album.
Mildly jealous, hugely entertained. I love it.
That's funny.
Or like
Okay,
your
do you guys
next
want to leave it at that? That feels like a good, like, natural. We're up at the 2 hour mark.
This is so much fun. Like,
It is the-
Can I come every week?
It honestly
should
goes by
come
so
often.
quickly.
Like,
Eh?
I was thinking like 2
There's
hours,
like 3 topics I didn't
This-
cover.
and that's the beautiful thing here is
This
it's
is so fun.
It's 50%. You know, we try to run it like a business, and we try to really do this for real. By the way, I think I deleted the pictures that we took early. We need to retake them
What?
because the
didn't
remember
like-
because the
Oh,
card
right,
was
right.
full. 'cause
That's
the
okay.
card
They
was
weren't
full.
very good
the
anyways.
card was full with. Like,
Anyways.
Jeff
I wasn't on my
Goldblum.
A game.
So, but we do try to do it professionally. But the other thing is, even when one episode takes a dip because for whatever reason, subject matter wise, it's less interesting or whatever, it's still these are people I would love to sit around a table with.
I feel like we had compelling topics.
Like we hung out with Tynan recently and we sat around Meyer's table and we talked for 3 hours and had drinks and it was the exact same as the podcast minus the microphones. And that's our favorite thing to do and so when you said like, oh, we're gonna have Maya next, I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorite persons to sit around a table and talk with. And so yeah, it's fun that it's obviously this cool platform and we're trying to make it something, but it's also somebody that if you're like next week, well, we can't do another podcast with you next week, but you're like, let's still just sit around a
Just hang
table
out.
and
We don't have to podcast it.
you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And for the listeners,
Likewise,
thank you
guys
for
are the
listening to us. And I think that, you know what, let me say something on that because for some of our listeners, some of our guests will make sense. You know, last week's Mike Carosa, we're huge stand-up comedy fans.
I'm just a person that does nothing. But
No, and that's the point I'm gonna get to you in a moment. But having Mike Carosa on might make sense. Or if it's a rapper, you're like, oh, I get it. Ill Vibe makes music with that person. But when we have Katie on, or we have Maya on, and in the future we might have your family members on and other people. These are the people that we love to explore our ideas with when we're not podcasting.
Yeah.
And so honestly, we had some of my favorite conversations tonight. Because this is one of the people that we talk shit with all the time, and
She's
therefore
got
they're the
nothing
best
to pitch,
episodes.
You know what I mean? She's not
Totally,
she's
yeah.
not selling anything.
And not that anybody else pitched either, but it's definitely more about them talking about what they do.
what they're up to and like which
less
is great.
we
as well.
really just explored everything from
Furries.
rape fantasies to furries to how sexy young James Spader is to
and the verdict is very sexy.
I think this episode should definitely be called like Furries and Witchcraft
This
or
is
something
literally
like
so
that.
much fun. Like
it.
we covered it.
Anyways, I'm done. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. Just do your
course,
thing.
yes.
I'm gonna sit back.
Check us out on Instagram at Damage Goods Pod, Twitter at Damage Goods Pod, email us at damagegoodspod@gmail.com. Maya again is at Maya Phelan on Instagram, and I think that's all we got for you tonight.
Thank you guys
That's
so much.
Number 10.
We love you, furries. Don't hate us.
I love you, furries. I'm one of you in my spirit.
To 10,000 more.
Bonsoir.
Wolf furries, hit me up.
Yes, I love it. That was actually so fun.